Salute.
What up, fellas?
Welcome to Hip Hop Talks. I'm Coop. That's AG. That's Sean.
Kid.
We don't. AG the only nigga that's at home. AG the only nigga that's at home.
The fans might not recognize Sean in front of his shoes, but that's Sean. That's not a clone.
Make sure you click like, share, and subscribe to our page. Although we have now officially hit the 2,000 mark, we are on the strive and the goal to get to 3. So make sure you hit like, share, subscribe. We've been having some wonderful shows lately. The dialogue's been great. AG, you have been coming up with some of the most innovative ideas in the podcast space. I wanted to give you a special shout out.
Appreciate it, bro.
Taking the time to come up to this. I'm not trying to be cocky at all when I say this, but the way that you have taken the time to think of these innovative and original ideas does really remind me of how I started off in this space. And I mean that like in like the most like complimentary fashion. The ideas that you've been coming with, it's like, oh, I remember when I used to think of shit like this before niggas started getting on my nerves all the time. All right.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate it.
But no. You've been coming up with some wonderful ideas, and I want to shout you out for like coming up with some wonderful ideas for the show. I did want to kind of like, get to my segment for a second, if we could, Sean. Like, I know I didn't kind of script this, but this is kind of going to be something for pretty easy for you guys to follow. So, it appears that LeBron and Stephen A are getting into it, quite frankly, and I mean, as somebody that has aired his grievances in public and has seen the positive and the negative from it, I would tell you that unless both sides are unwilling to sit behind closed doors, this needs to happen behind closed doors moving forward, because it got real petty real fast, didn't it, guys? Doesn't it feel like didn't it feel like it like today, like the last 2 days were officially the days where it's like, well, we kind of felt like y'all didn't like each other, but now you're letting everybody else know that you don't like each other. And I don't like that, because you're the most dominant people in your space, and you happen to be black men. And in your respective professions, that is very, very hard to do. And so I would rather them handle this behind the scenes. And here's how poignant and important that it is. So big is this deal right now that people forgot that it's opening day in baseball today.
Yeah.
It's opening day and nobody even said anything, because Stephen A and LeBron are throwing up gang signs.
Yeah. Is this the new Drake versus Kendrick?
Like, you want to know what okay, so here's what I thought of. I really thought of Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali, except for that
was
really
more playful though.
And scripted behind the scenes.
Right.
And those men were friends behind the scenes, even closer behind the scenes than they were on camera. This don't feel good, look good, sound good. I found myself over the last couple of days as a black man kind of cringy. It even made me question some of the things that I had done respectfully. All jokes aside, I was just like, Sean, what you think?
It's nasty, man. Like, even with LeBron going to Pat McAfee, you going to ESPN, you going to like the person that Stephen A has publicly had issues with, the competition, if you will. And he started throwing everything out there, talking about Stephen A, making jokes about Stephen A. Stephen A went on his campaign last week talking about Bron on every other episode or every other channel that's out there, and just talking about it. And to your point, Coop, it's one of those things where they don't like each other. We know that, they know that, they're talking about it. And now it was bubbling beneath the surface, but now it's like hit its core. And at this point, somebody's going to have to chill out at this point. And it's going to be hard, because Stephen A, he's in the media. This is giving him more looks. The numbers are going through the roof. The numbers are looking great, because you got the biggest star in the world right now in sports going back and forth with you. That's what you want.
Right. This is what I'm saying, Sean. Like, he literally, Stephen A went on TV today and said, I was here before you. And he literally said on TV, on ESPN cameras, and based on the deal they just gave me, I'm going to be here after you. I was like, oh, I said, those are gang signs. I said, gang, 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 gang.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's a I'll see you in the streets, nigga, type of statement to be saying professionally. Like, yeah, when I see you outside, this is gonna be what it is, even after you gone.
Facts.
Y'all took the serious route, but I'm here for the jokes. So did y'all see the video that LeBron posted of Stephen A. boxing?
That was nasty.
Yeah, it was nasty work.
Bro tried to say he had 2 torn rotator cuffs. I about lost it. But that video looked eerily similar. Sean showed me like him doing jujitsu one time, and that video looked eerily similar to Sean.
Oh god.
That's the energy we on, man. That's the energy we on right now.
I'm sorry. I'm just here for the jokes. But nah, Sean was in it. Sean was in his bag though. You know what I'm saying? Sean is like tactfully, I can't even say that word, tactfully trained. He's the trained. We'll just leave it like that. But nah, Stephen A was doing nasty work, man. And no, I don't have anything serious to say other than I'm tired of this being drug out. I'm dead serious when I say this is for the Black community, if you will. This is our new Kendrick versus Drake, because you know what I'm saying, that's been over a year, it's played. We need some other drama to tune into for the next so many months, and I think this is it. And I'm tired of it already, frankly.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'll let you know it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right.
It is.
Okay. AG, you're kind of going to be spotlighted on this show. We're going to go ahead and get out of this bag and jump into our new kind of but old music bag, because we have still yet to rate Rufus Sims' project Ill Dirty Bastard, because you have yet to listen. So unless you have some finishing thoughts about this comment and want to segue into your thoughts so we can get to a cumulative rating, and then we can get to talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, before we do that, we have some other business from the last pod to take care of real quick, because the people probably want to know about the winner of the bracket that we left up to the fans. And we posted it on Twitter and we posted on the Discord. And oddly enough, both of the percentages came out 90% in favor of Illmatic to 10% on Doggy Style. So Illmatic is the winner of the 5 Mic album bracket. And I agree. I picked Illmatic, but I do think it should have been a closer vote.
Yeah.
So, Coop, you look like you disagree.
It's not that I disagree. It's that when it's 90% to 10, it's like, what are we doing here?
It's a little flagrant.
The credibility. Okay, so here's what people don't understand. When you don't rate it objectively, and it happens 90 to 10, and on a worst case scenario, guys, like if anybody thinks that Doggy Style is not a top 10 rap album all time, first of all, I don't want to talk to you about
That's crazy.
I want to talk to you about rap. So the gap between it's not 9 to 1, guys.
No,
not 9 to 1.
It's not.
Even if you told me it was 65 to 35, I would eat the food on it a little bit more, because guess what that does? It makes it more respectable. It makes it more tangible. What everybody's going to turn around and say that's not in the consensus, that is be like, oh, well, this is a Nas-based podcast. Coop came over here because, he was plugged to Taj, he was plugged to Nas, and that's how all this happened anyway. So, of course, and that followed. And so it takes some of the credibility out of it when it becomes 90 to 10 is my problem. I don't have a problem with the winners. I have a problem with the numbers because it hurts the credibility of it.
Well, the credibility is the credibility. We left it in the people's hands, which was a good idea by you, and then the people voted. So it'd be different if we, 3 unanimously said that Illmatic was better and stuff. So that's the difference. We left it in the people's hand, and the people voted. A lot of times, I'm not going to say too much, but I'm going to say a lot without saying. Look, when you leave it in the people's hands, sometimes things happen. That's kind of wild.
I'll tell you.
I'm going to say that. Leave that right there.
AG, I'll say it for you. People, I appreciate you. I don't trust you at all. All right, there we go.
But yeah, so that's the winner of a bracket. But yes, moving on to Rufus Sims. Yes, tapped into that project, and the project was dope. You know, everything y'all said on the last podcast was very on point, very entertaining. Album from start to finish. The skits intertwined in helped weave together the cohesiveness of the album. The production, Ill City, laced them with a lot of different looks on that joint, a lot of versatility. It was fire all the way around. I would probably, well, first off, I went back to the album quite a bit, and there's a particular run on the album. It's a 5-track run that I'm going back to more than anything. That's starting at So Dirty, which is a vibe. Love that record. And then Choir, Acting Crazy, Real Life, and then Fill in the Blank. That 5-song run right there, I've been revisiting that often. And I like that it was Old Dirty Bastard inspired, but the song that speaks most to the spirit of Old Dirty to me is Cap Crazy. That's a song that I could hear Dirty doing himself. You know what I'm saying? So that was a highlight for me on the record. Now, that's all the positives. On the negative side of things, constructive criticism, this isn't even my take. I'm just relaying it, but it makes sense to me. I plugged the album in our Discord and told our Discord to, you know what I'm saying, listen to it. And, you know, one, I forget who it was in particular, but one of the people put in there that they was feeling the project, but they felt that it was too many features on a project that's, if you're a relatively new artist or artist that somebody's not as familiar with, your voice, like on a, you know, you might have 5 or 6 posse cut, you know, people on a posse cut. And if you don't establish who you are, like, you know, through giving us a lot of just yourself, then it'll be hard to pick out, like, well, where's Rufus? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know which one in particular is Rufus because I'm not familiar with a lot of these guys like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that maybe could be looked at, like on the next project. Well, I'm gonna give them more of myself versus putting on all of the home team and on a lot of the tracks and doing a lot of features. But overall, I think this was a great record. I'll give it a solid 4.
Sean, what's your overall rating on the project?
I can give it a 4. I love the nostalgia feel of it. Definitely a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a 4.25.
Okay.
I'm a Dirty fan.
Gone back. Me too. I'm a big Dirty fan.
Yep.
So it's hard not for me to love the ethos of this project and the execution of this project.
Great execution.
I have gone back and listened to this project multiple times now because I have enjoyed it so thoroughly.
Yes.
I'm with you, AG. My biggest critique is actually the fact that this album is one of those albums that reminds me that we didn't really hear all of the Wu-Tang Clan until the 4th album, which is Raekwon's The Purple Tape. We really didn't hear Outkast do an album with a bunch of features to their 3rd album, which is Aquemini. Because I think once you've mastered the craft of making a great album in the format that you're in, which whether it be solo, duo, or whatever, it's easier to expand upon that horizon to make classic material once you've done that. And so I will agree with you to the point, although I find the guest appearances to be stellar, it can be easy for him to be lost in the shuffle because he is not established as an artist just yet.
Right. But he himself is very unique. But if you're not familiar with him,
hold on one second, guys.
All right. Go ahead, G.
Yeah, so yeah, he himself is very unique, but if you don't, you know, if you're not familiar with his vocal tone or, you know, that can kind of get lost in a track with a bunch of features. But, you know, that's just something to give the people more of yourself personally on the next project. Me and you talk about this all the time. Like when we're getting nostalgic talking about 36 Chambers, we talk about like, we ain't know who was who. When 36 Chambers was out, we like, yo, the dude that rapped 3rd on The Mystery of Chess Boxing, yo, that's the guy right there. You know what I'm saying? That's how we was referencing stuff because we didn't really know the names of the whole clan like that. So we was just like, I don't know who that is that rapped 3rd on Protect Your Neck, but yo, that's the one. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I would just say like maybe give a little bit more of yourself next time.
No, I think those are fair criticisms. My overall thought, even after all that, was still a 4.25. If the two of you all are saying 4, I will, you know.
Sean said 4.25.
That's a
He said
4.25.
4 or 4.25. Or are
Okay.
you solid on
Yeah.
your 4? Like Sean, which
Yeah.
one are you leaning on?
I would lean 4.25, and that's me being biased though, because I love Dirty, and I think this is a great representation of Dirty. I really do.
It is.
I wish Wu would have did something like this, to be quite honest. But this is a great ode to Dirty.
You know, and
what do you mean when you said hold on, Sean? Unpack that briefly for me. When you're saying that you wish that Wu-Tang would have done something like this, do you mean like an actual album, like in tribute to Old Dirty Bastard in general?
Yes,
or maybe
like this,
YDB.
maybe YDB. I'm about to say YDB doing something like this, because you got Dirty sprinkled throughout this entire album.
Yes.
Not many albums have this kind of concept, if you think about it, guys, that's paying homage to another artist of that artist's album. Like, you have a sprinkle of Return of 36 Chambers throughout this entire album.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope to me.
That's fine.
Anytime, it's funny. So anytime somebody talks about Old Dirty Bastard, I'll never forget what my dear friend, and he's still my dear friend to this day, Michael Hubbard, told me when we were in 10th grade in high school. He's like, when Old Dirty Bastard raps, he's the best rapper in Wu-Tang Clan. And when he said that, that hit me hard, because it was so rare that he actually rapped rap. But I got exactly what he was saying, because when he did rap, he was their most captivating member. And the name of it is called MC, because to me, MC means move the crowd. And he did that at like, whatever, however you want to call it, he did that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sean. And he is the most charismatic, even more so than Meth. So I can agree that when he is rapping, he's like you said, Coop, the most captivating. And I've maintained this for years. Deck is my favorite out of the clan. And when people reference Triumph, they always say how Deck jumped it off with this classic verse. And then I have to correct people, like, that track don't have the same energy if Old Dirty Bastard is not talking in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Amping up the people to get ready for it. And it's the only track that has all 10 members on it. Now, you imagine that track without Dirty's intro. Is it the same?
Right.
I say hell no.
It's not, because then you have the jump off, protect your neck 2 off the W.
Yeah, that didn't have Dirty on it though. You
Correct.
Know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what you have. That's the type of record that you have.
Right.
That's what you have without Dirty. Yeah.
Yes.
You got the jump off instead of trying.
Right. There you go. Yep.
He gives the preparatory command that something about to happen.
Well, people forget this. The main reason that they really weren't able to duplicate their group success is that, you can get into their chamber solo without Dirty, because he's such an anomaly. But in a very, very weird way, he's really the person that takes Enter the Wu-Tang over the top.
Yes.
He gives it its all-time classic status with his mic performances, because, you got your lyricism, because you got Jizza and Deck. You got your gritty beats from RZA. You do got your street and your nostalgic with Ghost and Ray. You do have your star in Meth. Dirty is that sprinkle of something that's in your mama's favorite dish that your mama will never tell you.
Don't tell nobody.
She ain't telling nobody. She ain't telling nobody till her arthritic hand prevents her from getting that spice or whatever it is herself. Right. She's not telling. And Old Dirty Bastard is that spice to Wu-Tang Clan.
Right.
So their group stuff was never the same after Enter the Wu-Tang, because he wasn't there. And I know this is a Rufus Sims Ill Dirty Bastard review, but that's how important Old Dirty Bastard is. Like, he still lives on. And this is from an artist from Chicago, so it's like, I'm gonna say 4.25. It's an album of the year contender.
Indeed.
Well, real quick, like, to your point, Coop, it was he was a little bit present on Wu-Tang Forever, but that presence was definitely missing when he was still alive on the W, because even though he's on Conditioner, you can hear the pain in his voice on that track, being that he recorded his bars from jail. And that was hard to listen to. Although I like that song, it's hard to listen to. And then after that, you don't have his presence on any other album. But I love that album. Shout out to my son and my daughter. They got me the W on vinyl for my birthday. So
AG, he's not on forever though. There's Dog Shit. There's the intro to Triumph. There's Reunited. That's it, dude. He's not.
My favorite performance, actually, is not even a verse from him. It's the hook on As High as Wu-Tang Get. That's what I love the best about that song.
I love Jizz's verse on there, but I don't love that beat. That's one of the weaker beats on the album to me, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but the Ill project from Ill Dirty Rufus, man, that's dope.
Yeah. Dope project. Shout out to the Shy. Shout out to Ill City, Rufus, I Am God. See y'all soon. Pulling up.
Wow.
All right, on to this new Wale single. Sean, what you think of Wale? Come on, Queen.
I like
Take the
it.
money. What you think? You like it?
I like it. Very, very, very mellow. I actually listened to it for the first time today, as I was leaving my meeting, and I'm like, man, I needed this. This is a very mellow track.
Needed it.
I needed it. I needed that. I needed that track because it slows down. It slows things down, man. Everything is chaotic. It slows things down. But it made me think about Wale in a sense where how do we rank Wale? What do we do?
That's exactly my problem with the record.
We're all on the same wavelength right now.
That's my problem. That's my problem. I can't stand that. I can't stand when a rapper makes a record that makes me think about how I should rank them. I can't stand that shit. You understand?
And here's the thing. Wale excels in this bag, the melodic bag. When he makes stuff for the ladies and the melodic stuff, it's dope, but it was during his heyday, his prime, it was hard for him to do those type of records when you had Drake out there doing those records. Like, they didn't, permeate through. So, man, listen, like, when we talk about the big three and then a potential 4 and a 5 with the Futures and the Big Seans and the Nickies of the world, Wale during that era, he's damn near to 10, if we're being honest.
Don't let Lo hear that, man.
Oh, is he a big Wale fan?
Is he?
Oh, I didn't know that. But I'm just saying, man, like, I mean, and that's being objective, bro. And Wale is talented.
Kendrick, Drake, Cole, Future, Sean, Nicki, right?
Ross somewhere?
Then you got.
I feel like Ross is his predecessor.
Ross is his predecessor. He signed him. You around that era. You got Cudi. You got Wale. You got
I'm still taking Wale over Cudi on some rap shit.
Yeah,
maybe not as an artist, but on some rap shit. I'm taking.
Yeah, you got Crit.
Yeah. Crit.
That's about a tie for me. Wale and Crit's about a tie for me.
But look how far down the list you got till we even got there. Like, you at about 8.
We're about 7, 8. We're in that 7, 8 territory. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But it's a dope record, though.
That's why. Okay, but what are we doing with this record? Where are we going? Is there a project coming? Like, correct. Okay, I'm glad we had this talk. Great.
No clue. We in the Lucy era, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Time to lick shots. Buck. All right. Music anniversary, guys. On this day, we have quite a few classic albums that came out. We're going to start with Common's Like Water for Chocolate. A lot of people still feel like this is Common's best album. I actually listened to this album today, guys, and it's not. It's his second best album. Yeah, I bet the people that are fans of Like Water for Chocolate was like waiting for me to have like this big epiphany, a revelation. No. I woke up today to tell you that this album is a classic. I woke up to also tell you that you're wrong. It's still his second best album. And
wait, you said I thought you said on a sorry to interrupt, but I thought you said on another show that what was it? I mean, what did you put? One Day It All Makes Sense second?
No, third.
Okay, because for some reason I thought you had that as second, and then like switched up.
You can make a case that One Day It All Makes Sense is third.
Okay, because I know you held that album really high, so yeah. But this is second for me.
It's uneven. Finding Forever is better put together. I find that One Day It'll All Make Sense is a common sense who we don't find again, and so I find memories like that from a rapper to be special over time. And so I would argue about Finding Forever or One Day It All Makes Sense between its 3 or 4 status in the catalog. Resurrection has taken a hit to me over a course of time, but that's because the production's not holding up. And I was kind of afraid that would happen to that album.
But people older than us hold that like probably 1 or 2. people older than us hold Resurrection High.
Right. That's great. They also too are listening to Straight Outta Compton, and It Takes a Nation of Millions on tape in their old school car that they were riding around to when those fucking albums came out. So I don't want to hear that from them. It's not the truth. The production just hadn't held as well. One day it'll all make sense. Production actually has held up better in terms of like being aesthetically pleasing and something that's still more enjoyable to listen to. This is his second best album, but it's a stellar. Like, if this is the second best album in your catalog, you are an all-time great rapper, because this album is stellar. And that's really what was my takeaway from it. Is that, oh no, if people feel like he's top 10, top 15, if this is his second best album, which it is, oh no, this is as good as anybody's second best album. Like, how about this? Like Water for Chocolate is just as good as Iron Man, in my opinion, which is Ghost's second best album.
I wouldn't put it that high, but it's up there. And
I think it's I think it's conversational depending on what your musical taste is. Not everybody's on some Wu-Tang shit. You know what I'm saying?
True. But I'll say this, Coop. I think that for somebody who has Universal Mind Control and Electric Circus in their catalog, he still has a top 10 catalog all time for solo.
Say it out loud. When you say it out loud, it just hurts. My head literally hurts when you said it.
But with albums like this, that balances that out. Common, it might be towards the bottom of 10, but he has a top 10 catalog, I believe. I agree with you. All I have to say left is that this is, I think, his second best album behind B, and it has my favorite Common song in 6 Cents. That's my favorite Common song of all time. So
love 6 Cents.
Primo did his thing.
Yeah, you know, I love that record, but when everybody when everybody puts that in like at the top of like Common's catalog, it's like I didn't realize that record hit everybody like that. It's not my favorite Common record.
Love the video too.
I love the video. Yeah, the video is brilliant.
Love that joint. No, I agree with both of you guys.
All right,
I'll hit it.
Up next, T.I. King.
It's you, cool. Definitely.
2006. Sorry, I didn't give we didn't give Common his proper due. Like Water for Chocolate came out in 2000, correct?
Yes. It was March 28th, 2000, correct?
Yeah, March 28th, 2000.
So that's a 25 year milestone.
Yep.
March 28th, 2006, T.I. released King. AG gives it the 5. Is it T.I.'s best album to you as well, AG?
Easily. And T.I. has a great catalog as well. This is the album, and that might be biased, but this is the album that really made me buy in, because Urban Legend, when he was on that King of the South talk, and the Jay-Z of the South, he had some records on there, but I wasn't totally buying in then. When King came out, I was like, this is the guy. Now, mind you, this is during Wayne's run where he's ramping up. And still, I'm listening to the T.I. like, no, this is the guy. So many records on here. And I mean, Top Back, King Back, what you know about that is still, I think, T.I.'s best record, hands down. I mean, you can play that anywhere. I'm Talking to You is a favorite. Why You Wanna is a major hit. And the reason why I think I like this album so much, and then I'll pass it to one of y'all, is because his approach was very Jay-Z like. Because this has Down South records on there, but he has the Just Blaze contributions on there. He has the Swizz Beatz contributions on there. He has the Pharrell Neptune's contributions on there. So it's a very palatable album, no matter where you were from. You know what I'm saying? So it was like his universal album, his universal appeal album, if you will. So I think this is his best album, hands down. I still play this record on the regular today. Fire.
I don't give it 5. I give it about a 4.5. But this is the album that made me a T.I. fan at that time. Urban Legend was too southern for me, I'll be completely honest. And I wasn't in that bag at that time. But this album, I felt like this album was the one that got me into T.I. Because like you said, you got on What You Know About it. I play that song a lot. I play that song a lot. I played that song recently. That song is crazy. I feel like that's when he got a certain confidence. And Coop, you probably notice you notice more than we do. But to me, it sounds like King. You got the title album King. Your confidence is at a high level at this point. So you know what you got in your hand. For you to put an album out and you call it King, you know what you got in your hand. And you're going to kick it off with what you know about that? Come on, man.
Crazy.
Come on.
It's a coronation ceremony, guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
The album, the song, What You Know, in my opinion, is a top 50 rap song. I don't care what anybody says. If anybody were to ask me if I were to pick one song to come out of this city of Atlanta, I'm in Buckhead right now. If I were to pick one song to come out of this city, that would be the song that I would choose, guys. Like if we needed intro theme music to represent Atlanta, I would say play What You Know by T.I.
I'm with it.
Like that would be my theme music. Like I would like think about like the heavyweight champion walking out to their theme music. That would be like Atlanta's heavyweight champion theme music. That's the record.
That's what it sounds like.
No, but that's also the moment because it's the culmination of everything that the Dungeon family started and everything that Crunk built up. And out of all of that group work and all of that groundwork and that collaboration and footwork came this great solo MC. And this is the guy, and this is the album, this is the coronation ceremony. Objectively, personally, I'm with you, AG, would tell you that it's 5. Objectively, I'd tell you that it's a 4.5. Some slight missteps in terms of the arrangement of the album on the back end that I could quibble with you about.
Yeah,
but outside of that, the mic performance, the stellar nature of the songs. How about this? This is how much I think of this album. Oh no, this is Volume 2 by J Dunn, better than Volume 2, AG, to quote your, to take the Jay-Z stuff. Not to take
that's what I'm saying.
It's Volume 2. It's actually Volume 2 done the way Volume 2 was actually supposed to be done.
Yeah, and lyrically he stepped it up. But you're right, it does tell off to the end. But the highs are so high, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it was high. It was high. And I wanted to hate, but I couldn't. I was like, yo, who's this scrawny guy, man, talking about he's a king. He's the Southern Jay-Z or whatever. I'm like, who is this guy?
And if you remember, like, this is like, you know, not even quite a full year removed from the Jeezy wave with 101. And T.I. came with King and was like, all right, hold my beer. Watch this.
So people forget this. No. Wayne had just made the Carter 2 as well. The Carter 2 coming out around this time too. So the Carter 2 and 101 are floating around, and T.I. was still the man. And I remember that happened in real time. Like that happened in real time where like, no, Jeezy was having his moment. Wayne was having his best performance ever, and T.I. was the man.
I was like, nah, that's the guy right there for sure.
That's the guy. That's what I mean. Oh no. Look here. Look, sometimes, like, I hate to say this, it's like, oh no, Tupac being locked up took him all the way over the top. T.I. getting locked up actually took him down a lot because there were so many other people that were buying.
It did.
When it happened to Pac, as far as on a mainstream level, it was just Big ascending. He just had to worry about it because Nas hadn't even ascended to that level. On some rap shit, it was really just Nas and Tretch and a couple of dudes to worry about. When T.I. got locked up, there was a crop and a field of people, a Rick Ross, a Jeezy, a Wayne, just in the South.
They filled that spot real fast.
In addition to your legacy acts that hadn't made money like they felt like they should have had, that now went solo or came back and signed to different labels and made group projects. Scarface still running around making music. It's a lot.
Bingo.
I'm glad you brought Scarface up because this was the album that made me not feel offended. He was talking all that King of the South talk, and Scarface is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I'm like, bro, you got to stop that. Scarface is still alive and well and making music. But then when he came out with this, I was like, okay, you got, you know what I'm saying, a buy-in. know?
It's still Face, but it wasn't crazy when how about this?
Right.
Very comparable to when Jay on Volume 1 said, who's the best MCs, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas? Mm-hmm. It's like, when he's saying he's the king, it's like, well, it's still Face to me, but you're very much like in that conversation with him and with Wayne, like those three guys specifically about that. So, yes.
Absolutely.
And then I think Paper Trail came after this, right?
Correct. No, that was a slight drop off.
T.I. versus TIP. T.I. versus TIP is actually,
Now, if you don't have that in the middle, that streak is crazy going from Urban Legend, King, and then if you go to Paper Trail after that, but that T.I. versus TIP was not it.
Right. Very inconsistent. That was the industry album gone wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, to that point of the inconsistency, that's kind of what he was going for, to show the two different sides, but it just didn't come together well as an album.
Right.
Concepts aren't his thing.
No.
Albums.
No. Stick to rapping.
Yeah, the concept thing is
he didn't stick to landing, no.
Yeah. On the same day, in the same year, Ghostface actually released Fishscale, which is actually one of my favorite Ghostface projects. Okay, so when I tell people that I feel like Ghost has 3 classics and 3 in the possible, it's like this is my third one, and Bulletproof is my possible. For most people, Bulletproof is the third, and Fishscale is the possible. But this is my third favorite Ghostface album after Supreme and Iron Man. What say you?
Go ahead, Sean. Ghost is your guy. Go ahead, man.
Man, he started off with Shaky Dog. Yo, I'm like, he got another one. I don't want to hear that.
Look here. Shaky Dog on my Ghost top 10 list. Some days I wake up, it's like I need to hear Shaky Dog. Bro. It might be Ghost's best story. It might be Ghost's best story.
It's up there.
It might be Ghost's best story. And Ghost got a lot of great stories. Ghost the top 5 storyteller, and Shaky Dog might be the one. You know what Shaky Dog is? Shaky Dog is the setup to me.
Yes.
I can see that.
I love those stories. Like, those are the stories where it's like, oh no, you're in real time with these guys.
Yes. He is animated, it's fun, it's Ghost showing his humor side, it's Ghost showing every complexity of his character.
Everything is
Shaky Dog. And again, Coop, I love this album. I love
Fishscale.
It might be number 3 for me. Iron Man. No, probably number 4. I love Bulletproof Wallace as well.
I like the beats on here better.
The beats
and Ray is on here more.
Ray is on here more. He definitely is on here more. The fact that he went outside and got more collaborators for beats and still pulled this off and still had stories on here. He still had his bravado on here. Ghost was this album showed you how consistent Ghost was, because he didn't have any misses even going into this album. No album that he had going into Fiscal was a miss. No. Everything, even the Pretty Tony album was a hit. Pretty Tony was dope. You know what I mean? So even the Big Door Rehab, Ghost was doing slept on.
And you want to know what, guys? In a lot of ways, for me, 9 Milli Brothers is the last classic Wu-Tang song. Like, that's the last classic Wu-Tang posse cut record, in my opinion. I can't think of a record after 9 Milli Brothers is better than 9 Milli Brothers. It's the last classic Wu-Tang posse cut, in my opinion.
I forgot about 9 Milli Brothers. Yeah, and they went crazy on that.
The burners in the
I don't know. I'd have to look at the timeline.
Yeah, they got it like that.
Yeah. And it's Ghost, because everyone was fizzing out, and Ghost kept putting out albums. He kept putting out
the Champ with Just Blaze. Oh yeah,
the Champ is my favorite on the whole album.
Oh my god, it's breathtaking. It's great stuff.
I love it. Yeah. I'll be brief because y'all both, you know what I'm saying, smoke that, but I'm with Coop, and then you said, but you put Bulletproof Wallace third, didn't you, Sean?
I did, yeah.
Here's my deciding factor. I got Fishscale as his third classic and Bulletproof as the fourth because of what Bulletproof could have been. I know that knowing the original, the Watch, The Sun, those tracks, if they were, you know, the original samples and stuff got cleared, and, you know, what we heard on the internet back then and the album, you know, came to fruition, because unfortunately stuff like that plagued a lot of albums from reaching their full potential. I have to put Bulletproof fourth as the possible, because I know what Bulletproof could have been.
I don't be mad at that. I don't be mad at that at all.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Okay, on March 22nd last year, guys, Future Metro Boomin released what the black man's theme in Atlanta is towards the women, which is "We Don't Trust You." Thoughts on the album, guys? Outside of the obvious thing that we're about to talk about. Go ahead, AJ.
I'll be short. I haven't listened to it much after the run. I'm gonna be honest with you. In real time, I enjoyed it, but after maybe a month or two, and Coop, we talked about this a lot last year. These albums, a lot of albums didn't have a lot of legs. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, guys, I listen more to Future mixtape, that the last joint that he put out, than I listened to Pluto. Mm-hmm. Mixtape Pluto. I've been listening to Plutowski about maybe every other week. I'm listening to Plutowski. I don't know why, but that got to me. That has more. I love Plutoski. I ain't gonna lie. Back when I'm running again, that shit go crazy. Yo, yeah, it's crazy. But I'm saying I listen to that more than I listen to this. I listened to this like a month straight. I'm like, man, I love the beats, love Metro Boomin. Then after that, I kind of just let it go. So that's my take on it. Honestly.
Not mad at that. I think it was one of the best offerings we had last year, and Future had a hell of a year last year. And but I think the quality of the album itself got drowned out by everything this album started. So
That's correct.
That was a risky move on Future's part, but I get it. And for as much eyes and ears it got to the album, the more it drowned it out the quality of the album. So, but we're going to speak more on this here in a little while. So I don't want to give away too much now.
This was a very solid project, and it got mired in the ancillary things that occurred on one record by a guest artist, which I'm sure AG will be alluding to shortly. So those are really my thoughts. It's actually an album that got mired because it helped ignite the biggest modern day beef, and because of that, people forgot that it was actually a quality project. That's really, and I'm not saying it's anything great. I'm not saying it's anything special, but it's actually a pretty damn good album.
Really good album.
And in real time, when I was rating the album, which is one of the last things I did at my former podcast, I spoke to the fact that this album was actually only like 3 or 4 songs edit-wise away from being like the album of the year. So there was stuff on there, and it really got overshadowed by that moment, and people have forgotten about it. But that's also the cycle that we live in and how things work today, and I understand that part of it as well.
Let me ask you this, both of y'all, because this terminology, I've heard Sean use it as far as like cannibalizing your own like fan base or whatever. Do you think that it would have been better served if they didn't come out with the "We Still Don't Trust You" Part 2 and just let this live on its own?
No, I like what they did with Part 2 because they switched speeds and did something totally different. And so I like the fact that they would have switched speeds. Had they been on the same shit, I would have told them to let it breathe or just do a deluxe edition in the fall or winter time.
Right.
So okay with the move.
I think the momentum allowed them to do that because they got a lot of momentum from "We Don't Like You." We don't trust you. And you got that kind of momentum. You got some more Lucy's on your hand you can put together, get more money out of it, and put together another solid effort, then go forward. The momentum was carrying them over into that second joint anyhow. So I think it was the right move. I don't think they cannibalize each other.
Okay.
I mean, last but not least, guys, March 25th, 1997, as you know, the Notorious B.I.G. released his album, Life After Death, came out 2 weeks after his death on March 9th. So, guys, I know Andrew and I just did a show on Mirror Music commemorating Life After Death as an album and doing some deep dives and some talking about some of the put-togethers from the album, some of the smaller pieces that made the album.
Check that out.
It's one of those albums that for the time that I've been in the space, I've found that I find new stuff to talk about the album every year, which truly means that it is a classic album and a one-of-a-kind kind of album. Sean, tell me what some of your thoughts are on Life After Death.
Man, this is a great album, man. This album aged really well. And cool, you and Andrew did a phenomenal job, man, breaking it down.
Thank you.
Great job.
You actually did. AG and I was texting back and forth. You was in a different bag, man. And Andrew even was texting me. And I'm like, yeah, Coop is in like this lecture bag. And you had me look at the album a little bit different, be honest with you, bro. And that's me giving you your flowers because in real time, I enjoyed the album. I appreciated the album, but I didn't understand the capacity of the album, if that makes sense. Because I felt like, Big had 3 years to make this album. You're thinking about the inception of Ready to Die to the inception of Life After Death. And so many things happened in between time where Big had a chance to sit back and really study everything. He studied the landscape. He saw Nas coming up. He saw Nas doing his thing. He saw Nas going through a whole maturation process, where it was written. He see Ray and Ghost doing their thing on Cuban Links. He see Jay coming around the corner. he saw a lot of different things that happened between the release of Ready to Die up until Life After Death. So he had a lot to talk about. And this was a time where the risky part was to make a double album and make that double album to have something to talk about. And in every song on that album, Big had something to talk about. It's one of those albums where you can never fault an MC for what he was saying and what he was rhyming about. But the only things I had against it was some of the high level beats that Puffy was choosing, some of the glitzy beats that he was choosing. But Coop, you said it eloquently on the show that was by design from Puffy, because by that time you're talking about the success of Ready to Die came from the remixes more than anything else, more than the grittiness of Ready to Die. So if you saw the success from that and that dragged that album to a different tier, you're going to start off his sophomore album with even a higher grandioso sound. And now I thought about it, guys, and again, I'm gonna pass this to UAG. Think about what Big was doing in that between that time, but also what he was doing on No Way Out. Just imagine how many songs that was on No Way Out, which is someone called a classic, that probably could have easily been on Life After Death. Think about how many songs he gave away to No Way Out to Puffy. You're talking about potentially 3 albums that Big made in a 2 to 2.5, 3 year span. No Way Out is Big's imprint.
It is.
It's Big's imprint. I don't think we talk about that enough, but you listen to songs on No Way Out, that is Big's DNA all over that album.
It is.
Hey, Sean, just real quick, I would swap Been Around the World out for More Money, More Problems, and it actually fits better in Life After Death song-wise and sequence-wise. If you're actually talking about, because More Money, More Problems stands out on Life After Death Disc 1.
Yes.
It does. Like, it is my problem with the sequencing, because there's really nowhere comfortable to put that record. Been Around the World actually could have allowed you to slide Hypnotize probably to Disc 2.
He would have needed to put a verse on it because he just did the hook. But I feel what you're saying, like tone wise, like to fit the rest of the album. But More Money, More Problems, I actually had a conversation with my homie earlier today. And, you know, granted, Big wasn't here, but that song was really marketed like a Puffy record. You know, and how it was
some of that is because Big wasn't here, though. That
right,
did have
but
to do with Big not being here.
yeah.
Because the moment is Big. Like, because I tell people, like, outside of Big, actually, when you listen to that record on Ready to Die, I can make a legitimate argument to you that it's the weakest record on Disc 1. I can make a legitimate.
I agree with you, but everybody loves that verse. That verse is
Oh,
universal.
no, but that's what I mean. But no, the verse is special.
All you gotta say is B.I.G. Everybody can finish that joint.
That's what I mean. So that's what I mean, and that's the thing that I was trying to cover on Mirror Music was the fact that it's like, well, the reason that we remember him so much is because, well, he was actually more special than the album was. As crazy as that sounds.
Yes,
I'm gonna give you your props, your flowers, bro, because watching that Mirror Music, man, you made me look at things on this album a little bit different. Not album, but Big himself, right? Because I ain't gonna give away too much because y'all need to get over to Mirror Music and check that episode out for real. It was real insightful. But when you was breaking down Big's hits, and it's not as like a plethora of like, you know, those hits that like we really think, and then his genius is really in his evil genius. Like when you broke down like that, you know, I'm not gonna say too much about that, but y'all get over to Mirror Music and listen to what Coop is talking about as far as that's concerned. As far as the album itself, right? Objectively, Wu-Tang Forever is my favorite double album of all time. But I would say that this is the best double album of all time. And the reason why I would say so is because Big left no stone unturned on this album. He displayed versatility that I don't think has been displayed since. Like, this album came out in 1997, and I personally can't name an album that has trumped this since 97. You know what I mean? All the things that he's doing on here is just, he's doing it at a high level. He's taking Bone Thugs and Harmony style, rapping at a high level. And I don't want to say it's a knock on Big, but if I'm nitpicking all my favorite MCs, a lot of the other MCs at the top in the top 5 will have Big in the content area. But I think on this album, he has Missing You. He has Sky's the Limit. He's starting to get into his content bag a little bit more, and we won't even talk about the storytelling. The storytelling is You know what I'm saying? Bar none. You know.
I hate to say this, AG. My biggest problem with Life After Death is actually the content song because I think it's the weakest part of his bag. Those are the records that I enjoyed the
He
least.
did need to work on that, but I just appreciated that he was trying. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
he did better. Sky's the Limit is yeah, it's like come a long way, like in terms of crafting
Absolutely.
a record like that. So it's like yes, but that's what I mean. It's just like oh no, you hear how special he is, even if the record isn't special. You're like, man, this guy's special. He just pulled that
Right.
off. Like I know that's not even his main bag. That's like
And-
that's actually the weak part of his game. The weak part of his game,
Yes.
he's still good for 19 points and 10 assists when his game.
That's the only Achilles heel. And the last 2 points I want to make about this album, one is the history of the album, right? I don't hold Ready to Die as high as most people do, right? Because I think you can hear some of the unevenness in the album where some tracks were recorded early on, you know what I'm saying, before Puff got, you know, Bad Boy going or whatever, and then where he was at Uptown, and then you can hear the tracks afterwards. And then Big, like on Big Papa, Warning, where he wasn't as amped up and his voice wasn't as animated, he kind of slowed it down. One More Chance remix is the perfect example of that. Flow in Pocket slowed it down. But if you thought that One More Chance remix was the pinnacle of that, he showed that he could do that style on any track on this album. And the reason being, oddly enough, was when Steve got in a car accident and he broke his leg. So Big recorded pretty much this whole album sitting down in the booth. He had to go to a booth in a walker and sit in a wheelchair and like record his rhymes. But like when you're doing it from that, people, like I said, we've all three rapped at some point, recorded in a booth or whatever. You can't get super amped up if you're sitting down recording a verse. You just can't. But that got him in a silky smooth pocket in and out on all these songs. So it was a gift and a curse in a sense with what he was doing, because I don't think you get that same delivery if he's able to kind of like stand up in the booth. I've always felt that from the inception of this album. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, and then we can move on, is most double albums in hip hop around that time were event albums. Coop, you always, you know what I'm saying, speak so much about All Eyes on Me, how when Pac got out of jail, it's like, all right, Dog Pound, you got that record, it's going on Pac's album. Dre, you got this, it's going on Pac's. It's all hands on deck or whatever. Wu-Tang Forever. Me and Sean, we talk about this all the time. They moved all the way out to Cali, you know what I'm saying, yo, we got to be locked in. We can't even be at home to record this album. We're recording this in Cali. We're locking in for this double album. So it's a big event. With this Bad Boy double album for Big, all the features are perfectly placed. I don't think it's any feature that's not needed. But the one thing that really made me realize this was an event album was because, and me and Sean did a station head show on this, Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang didn't mess with Bad Boy at all like that. Outside of Meth doing his feature on the What, and then Puffy producing the Mariah remix with ODB, the Wu and Mobb Deep, they would mess with, you know, Nas, Mobb Deep, and Wu had their own little clique. But when RZA gave him Long Kiss Goodnight, and then when Havoc gave him Last Day, I was like, okay, they're saying we cannot miss this. We can like not be a part of this.
It's too
And
big
they're
to
giving
ignore.
him, huh?
Too big to ignore.
Exactly. It's an event album, and they didn't give him B-folder beats. That's top tier RZA on Long Kiss Goodnight, in my opinion. That's top tier Havoc on Last Day. For what they can fit on a Mob or a Wu album.
It's top tier. It's the bottom of their top. It's the bottom of their top tier, though. It's the bottom.
Still in the top tier, though.
It's top tier. It's the bottom of their top tier, though.
And that let me know that it was real.
Like you want to know what it is?
What's that?
It's like they literally gave him a 90 beat, like just enough to give him the A. It's like no.
You don't want to get a competition because they was in direct competition.
I'm giving you a 90. I'm not giving you a 97. I'm giving you a 90.5. Rap on this 90.5. Rap on this A minus.
And he killed him. You know what I'm saying? But that's direct competition. And I was just like, 16-year-old me realized that. When I'm looking at the booklet and production credits, I'm like, yo, RZA producing on this album?
Sounds better.
He never produced outside of the Wu.
I didn't like that.
He sounded pretty stellar over the RZA track. I liked him better on Long Kiss Goodnight than I did. I liked him better on Long Kiss Goodnight than Last Days. Here would be my synopsis. I do want people to watch the Mirror Music episode. It is one of my better bags and one of me and Andrew's better episodes, in my opinion. So I don't want to give away too much, but his legacy, much like Pac's legacy, is shrouded in something where if you really go listen to the music, it's like, oh, that player that you talking about, that player only on about like 5, 6, 7 records on his actual albums. You know what I'm saying? He's not a player on his albums. He's a player on these remixes. He's a player on Junior Mafia's album. He's on a player to the remixes to the song that he remixes. He's not a player like that on his albums. His albums are more like My Downfall, Kick in the Door, Everyday Struggle, Warning, Ready to Die, The What, Last Days.
Dark stuff.
And here's the thing that I really want people to realize in AG. I just want to piggyback off your point, and then we can slide. Because he sat down in that chair, man, his flow is so silky. Never has anybody actually said more with less words. Like, he had started doing stuff rhythmically. That's why I picked the last verse of My Downfall. The first verse is actually lyrically the best verse. But when people talk about his flow, his delivery, and cadence, he had started learning to do things so subtly that you miss the fact that he was actually using less words than any great MC that we had ever heard. He had really found such a comfortable space on the beat, guys. It was damn near literally like he was just floating over the track whenever he felt like it. Yeah. We used to hold the gold, now we floss the diamonds. Niggas want my team to stop shining. You see how he's enunciating and letting it fly? Yeah. Pray my fame start declining. Whining like girlies. We've been around the world twice. The beat's going like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And to even make light of like the wreck when he's in the wheelchair. I used to be as strong as Ripple B to Little C's crippled me. Now I play hard like my girl's nipples. Like, come on, bro. This is the second best version of a rapper I've ever heard in my life behind 95, 96 Nas. Period.
Yeah, crazy. So, and cool, fun fact for you, Capadonna was supposed to be on the hook of on Kiss, but they took him off and put Buffy on.
Thank God.
I didn't know that. I remember you told me that, Sean. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kappa actually did that hook. Kappa was saying time for you to die. That was
okay.
Kappa.
First of all, we don't have any proof of that until you produce proof.
Here we go.
I want proof.
We got one more anniversary before we slide out of this topic. It was the Diplomatic Community joint. Speaking of double albums. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't see Diplomatic Community in there.
That was Sean put it on Twitter the other day. It was 3/25, March 25th, 2003.
Okay.
I got a question for y'all. A lot of people consider this a classic. I don't. But my question for you all is, and this is no disrespect to Dipset, but has any other group or collective done more with less? And what I mean by that is I love Cam, but Cam is not like top 30 all-time great. He's like somewhere after that. Jewels was new, but he had, you know what I'm saying, like New York on fire for a short time. Jimmy didn't even rap. Freaky didn't rap. But this is how important marketing is and selling yourself. You know what I mean? I really mean it. And Dipset Anthems are some of the best New York records in the lexicon of like New York hip hop, right? So has any other crew or collective done as much as they have and created a legacy for themselves with less talent, like that amount of talent?
I don't know if less is the word, AG.
I was trying not to be disrespectful.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I think
look at Sean, man. Come on, bro.
I think Dipset AG is part of a cultural transition in music, where the culture of the music started mattering more than the music, which is very much still what exists to this day. And so what they provided us was actually more great hip hop culture and ethos of uptown Harlem lifestyle than they did actually provide great rap records. They embodied hip hop culture for Harlem and for New York and for the East Coast more than they had embodied it musically and MC wise. And that was a transition, because usually to come from New York and have that torch as a group, you had to be the nicest group, like on the mic.
Yes,
so you had
to
be a Lox, you had to be a Mobb Deep, you had to be a Wu-Tang, a Run DMC, a EP. No, you had to fit certain things. And no, they didn't fit that, but also the game had shifted. And here's where you got to give them credit. And we can look at it in hindsight, and it's probably Cam. Oh, Cam is a brilliant businessman, and Cam saw the game shifting, and he shifted with the game appropriately, was ahead of the curve. And because Cam was ahead of the curve, he got his crew ahead of the curve, and that being ahead of the curve granted his crew a moment from which he capitalized on, and he never stopped capitalizing on.
No. They were great at the slick talk too.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, but I'm from Harlem Uptown.
Yeah, it was
Right.
It was the chance and the swagger. What Dipset got over on everyone is the fact that they were confident and they had a lot of swagger at the same time. Cam and Drew Wells carried the torch when it came to like just the bravado of rapping. Jim was just talking on Diplomatic Community. The best thing out of Diplomatic Community to me was the beats. Heatmakers came with some bangers, and you guys rap. How many people rap to I really mean it beat? How many people rap to I mean it beat? Like just I mean,
not
everybody.
Look, not me, but my right hand man Holla did, and Holla was right there in the studio with me all the time. Yeah, Holla rapped to that shit. Yeah.
It was one of those. Yo, fellas, we got some super chats. Then we can move on. Double barrel. What it do?
$2. The king isn't a 5. I'm sorry. I'll give it a great 4. What the hell is a great 4? Slide over. I'm not a great 4. What are we doing? CJ, shout out. Much love, fellas. Just got back from a successful speech. I'm sure it was successful for you, CJ. You're doing great. What is today's creative topic that AG came up with in place of the 4.5 mic tournament? LOL. We'll be getting to that shortly.
We'll get that.
It's like jab at AG.
It's like jab at the source. That's more of a jab at the source than it is at AG with the 4.5 mic tournament. CJ the Kid. Also, Sean, your fit looks like Malcolm X on the Roots album cover, The Tipping Point. Bless you for real. CJ must have been hanging out with Mad Max behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Definitely the shade is real. Okay.
Real cool. Oh, is that
CJ the Kid? Diplomatic Community is a general consensus classic, fellas. You guys know I wouldn't lie when it comes to this. Not general consensus.
I'm surprised CJ saying that, man.
Yeah, CJ the Kid. Coop, I remember on your previous cassette, you said you'd bar out over Dipset. You'd bar out every. I think it means to say every
outbar.
Dipset.
Yeah.
Outbar every Dipset member. So I don't know if I can trust your judgment. LOL, kid, no. Oh no, I'm gonna be honest with you. So CJ, you want to hear some real shit? When I heard the Wale record in real time, I thought to myself, it's like, oh no, I was better than you when I was active, and if I was still active, I'd be better than you now. That's exactly what I thought when I heard the Wale record today. Don't want none of this if I get live. All right.
Yeah, that's wild. And real quick, man, this not specifically hip hop, but we talking about March 25th anniversaries. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out March 25th, 1983. The GOAT debuted the moonwalk on Motown 25. Michael Jackson, first time we ever seen the moonwalk on live television.
Changed the world.
Yes, it did. Motown 25. The GOAT. I know you're a Prince guy, but I'm sorry, Coop. The GOAT.
Look here, this is actually perfect timing because unfortunately my time here in this house is up because my battery's about to die and I need to get to my car and get some actual real legitimate charging. I'm going to have to sit out this next segment. I'm going to let you guys talk about this, this album that's supposedly getting made, hypothetically, possibly, maybe. Man, this nigga been at the spades table telling us he got 3 in the possible for 12 months. So I done been in like 15 dice games since I last heard the last track.
It's been a minute.
Life is like a dice game, in case you didn't know. Might want to remake that record. Hint. But I'm gonna let y'all get to that. I'm gonna get to the car, get some charge. I'm gonna hit y'all back in a minute. And
he did remake the record, right?
Yeah.
He did.
I want them to remake the record. I want it remade.
Yo, man.
I'll be back in a minute.
All right, no doubt.
Yeah, we got one more super chat from CJ. No shit at all, guys.
No, we appreciate you, CJ.
We appreciate you, CJ. We appreciate you, man. All right, so we're going to next.
Yeah, the Nas calendar, man. That Nas calendar is making waves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nas posted on his IG story, in case y'all didn't know already, his schedule for well, a lot of the schedules already transpired this month of March, going into April, and he's dropping some hints at what he has coming, in the future. And it looked like this Primo album is definitely going to happen, man. And what do you think, Sean?
I'm excited. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. We're on your time. Take your time. I was more excited to see Havoc being a part of that calendar. The Mobb Deep album, right? And actually curating together, being able to see all of that, and just the fact that he threw it out there, giving a hint, right? That was intentional. That wasn't like a mistake or oopsie. That was intentional because it got the people talking, talking about it. We're trying to figure out about it, putting that bet, seeing when it's going to drop, when it's going to happen. Look, when it happens, it happens. Let's enjoy the time leading up to it. Let's enjoy it. Because no matter what they do at this point, people are going to criticize and ridicule. We're already hearing it. People saying, Preem is not the same Preem and all of this and that. So it's going to be anticipation. And I'm hoping that Preem get a chance to read some of the comments and hear some of the chants out there about where he's at as a producer that can motivate him as well. So I'm looking forward to see how it's going to turn out. Again, there's no rush on it, man. Take your time, put it together, and let's make sure we have a good album.
Right. Preem has actually been responding to people on Twitter, so it's kind of entertaining. But one thing I will say, Nas is not somebody who really puts stuff out there like that. I mean, in this new era, I like it because he's one of the, the legends, the legacy acts, the older rapper. And during the Hit Boy run, he would do little things to tease projects. Remember the Magic series? He had the Harry Houdini, clips and all that stuff. But for him to reveal his whole calendar, that's something that, I typically wouldn't think he would do. So that lets me know that this thing is for real. They're not BSing the fans. They're not pump faking. He's letting us know what it is. And I have the dates right here in front of me, just to read them off real quick to the people.
Yeah.
So he had down for February 24th through 27th that he's going to be recording with Primo in the Bahamas. And, we've known Nas to have some other classic recording sessions in the Bahamas. Some of the Stillmatic sessions was in the Bahamas. So hopefully more classic material comes out of that. On March 4th, he's tapping in with Primo again. On March 5th, he has a Raekwon listening session. It's news that Raekwon is currently working on, his new solo album. Yeah. So, this could be just him tapping in, showing love to Ray, or he could be involved in some way. I would hope that Ray would be on Mass Appeal. That would be kind of fire. But I heard in our Discord somebody mentioned it's a whole campaign that's coming that's going to be called the Legends of the Fall or something like that campaign by Mass Appeal, and it incorporates all the rappers from our era. It's going to be it'll probably be the Nas and Premier, and they haven't announced this officially, so don't quote me on it, but it was seen on Reddit. But you got Nas and Premier, you got Raekwon, you got Ghostface, and you got the new Mobb Deep album produced by Havoc and Alchemist. But moving down the calendar, March 6th, he's tapping in with Primo again, also on March 11th. And then what I just spoke to, March 12th, he had something on there that said Legends. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's part of getting this campaign together. March 18th, he has Ghostface Killa listening. Ghost is working on an album simultaneously too, and I hope and pray it's better than the last one. The Guns N' Roses, because I think they could have been a lot better.
We're not gonna do that. Go ahead.
All right, but yeah, he has the Ghostface listening session, and then he's tapping in with Premier that day as well. March 21st is DJ Premier's birthday, and that's on DJ Premier's birthday was when he revealed this calendar. March 21st through April 5th. This is the biggest span he had blocked off on his calendar. So we got close to a few weeks there. That's all Primo sessions, that whole span, March 21st to April 5th. But on March 24th, he has Mobb Deep on the calendar, which, Alchemist already said on, I believe it was Hot 97, maybe, that Nas was involved in the makings of the Mobb Deep album with the posthumous Prodigy verses, and then Havoc and Alchemist was handling all the production. So I don't know if Nas is executive producing or what his role is, but he's very much involved in this process. And then the big one that caught my attention at first was April 3rd. He has a video shoot. So anytime you got a video shoot, something is right around the corner. So I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. Could be wrong. If the video shoots on April 3rd, by the time post production, editing, and stuff comes out, I want to say we could be getting this album at the earliest by late April. Define My Name dropped on the Illmatic 30th anniversary last year, which was April 19th. And then I looked on the calendar, and I think April 20th might be a Friday or something like that. So the Illmatic anniversary won't fall on the 19th. I mean, it'll be on the 19th, but it's not a Friday when albums release. But at any rate, I think we could potentially get the album a year removed from Define My Name and close to around the Illmatic anniversary is my prediction, but I could be wrong. What say you to that, Sean?
That's fair. That's fair. Man, you're talking about, we about less than a month from then. If that's the case. So that means we're ramping up really heavy right now.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't think we get it then. I think that we're going to get it.
More summer?
I think more summer, maybe going to the fall. I mean, this is that type of vibe. It's hard to determine because they're doing it the right way, in my opinion. They're not giving you flat out, cookie crumbs to lead you to the destination, right? And I don't think as a fan base, we should want that. We want them to lock in. We want this thing to be right. Because what if we get stuff from Mobb Deep first, where Nas is producing, and kind of getting things ramped up on there? What if we get some good verses on there to ramp them up, right? You want to build the right anticipation for it. Because what if we get another Ray album, because it's rumored that Ray is working on an album, and he said he has a Ray listening session. What if you get a verse on there where him, Ray, and Ghost doing something like a part 2, to the classic joint that they had on Cuban Link? What if we get that? Verbal Intercourse Part 2. Just spitballing here. So what if we get that? What if we get another, classic look from him to ramp things up? Now we're building up anticipation. We've been up the right anticipation. Because as Coop always said, we were waiting for this for almost a year now. So, not close to a year now. Let's get some more. Let's get a build up. Let's get some classic features. Let's get some classic guns. And then get us across the head. I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I'm saying? I hope they, do take their time because it's a lot riding on this album. I'd be lying if I said it, if I didn't say it was. But so, I know we wanted to rush the process and hurry and get the album out last year to keep the streak alive because, we was getting Nas releases consecutive since 2020. But at the end of the day, it's better that they take their time with this one.
Yeah. What say you, Cool?
I wonder how back into the beat folder they're going. Like, I was always, I'm hesitant about this project because I'm mindful of their legacies. And when I mean I'm mindful of their legacies, I'm very, very clear on the fact that if you don't think that these guys are top 5 at their respective crafts all time, objectively, I don't know how much of your hip hop opinion I can necessarily trust because they just have done too many important things to the culture. And so predecessors that would have them lower or people after that would have them lower, I really can't agree with that, even though both of these guys do come from our era, so to speak. Primo kind of precedes our era a little bit more.
I'm just really, really worried about their legacy more than anything else. And so I don't want a project that makes people go, oh, they could have kept that. And so I think it's important. Like the start of this album is going to be one of the more important starts to a rap album in recent memory in terms of how it captures people's attention and sets expectations, because you do have to understand that for most people who have heard Nas, and the first time that they heard him, they heard him over a Primo beat.
Mhm.
They heard him on New York State of Mind first.
Right.
That was special to people because Illmatic was one of those albums that all of us were told to buy without us being familiar with the artist or the records. Like we were just told that it was it, like that's kind of how I found out about it. I'd never heard him. Like when I remember listening to New York State of Mind for the first time and being like, oh my fucking God, like what is this that's going on? That album, those two specifically in relationship to that album, that song in particular has such a big effect on hip hop culture when we look at the craft of emceeing guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that doesn't and so you have to be mindful about that starting off the album. So I'm just funny about the nuances of so many things. I mean, seeing the calendar lined up with the Ghost and Array and with Mob, like that makes me smile. That lets me know that the thinking is along the lines of that lets me know that they're doing this for the fans,
Somebody tweeted it's an old heads Disneyland. That's good.
Right.
I saw that.
It's like, nigga, I want to go to Magic.
Talk. Nas is showing how to navigate being an older artist in this generation, and he's putting other artists of his era that were his peers on his back and bringing them along for the ride. You know what I'm saying? He's like pioneering this in a lot of ways. Because who else has done this?
No, I agree with you guys. I mean, he's a trendsetter about so many things, guys, but we often have conversations and we always taper it back to the music. And, like I say this respectfully, DJ Premier has had moments in the modern day era, but this album needs to be a moment. And if he's going to be the only beat maker that's supplying the beats, I am a little concerned about him being able to supply that moment because he hasn't supplied us with that moment since Moment of Truth, guys. That was 1998.
Right. You bring up an interesting point that I want to ask y'all about before we leave this topic, Coop. You said you wonder how far back in the folder that they're going. What would y'all's response be to that? If the album comes out and it's great, and Primo says, yo, I went back into my folder of old beats that was collecting dust from like 98, 99, and I tinkered with them a little bit and put them on here, and then, Nas just did his thing on them. Would you think that would be cheating? Because I personally, that was his, Moment of Truth era 98 was Primo at his finest hour. But I want to see what Primo can cook up in 2025 for Nas. I really do. How would y'all feel if he would say, okay, yeah, I got this from my folder from 20 plus years ago? And, I think that would be cheating a little bit.
Sean, you want to handle that right quick? What are your thoughts?
You got it, Coop. You got it.
Okay, so I'll tell you what Black Rob's manager used to tell me. The only people that know that your shit's old is you and your camp. And they're the only people who care that it's old, too.
Yep.
And over a course of time, I have found that to be very true. He told me that when I was still actively rapping because I was re-recording a song in Atlanta that I had actually recorded in California 3 years before. But when he heard me redo the song, I was feeling funny about redoing it. And he was like, Coop, he's like, nobody cares. He's like, you know how many bad boy niggas done redid songs that you ain't never even known like the song got redid? He's like, nobody cares. He's like, only your crew know that the song is old. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, now drop that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
Yeah, so that's how I feel about it. I look at it from the perspective of somebody that that used to manage a platinum artist. Shared with me, he's like, niggas don't care about that, and proceeded to give me old bad boy beats that other niggas hadn't rapped over yet or had rapped over and not come up with a song with yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here, take these beats too. Since we talking about this old shit. So that's how it kind of works sometimes.
Right.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
whatever motivates you. People have to understand this. Like when you're in the studio on a regular basis, it's whatever motivates you, and that's what I mean about him being the only producer and going back into an old folder, is because when I actually did my second album, most of the stuff that I rapped over was actually beats the other cats in my camp didn't want to rap over, and I was like, I'll rap over those. Like the producers that were in our camp, like they were giving guys beats, and they're like, I don't want to rap over that, and I was like, get that shit here. That's how I picked shit, because I had to dig through shit to find shit to rap through the camp, because I was working full time. Most of my niggas was hustling. They was in the studio all the time. So when I pulled up, a lot of the good beats was gone. So I had to go into old folders.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just
No doubt.
it's just some rap shit. It's like sometimes you just pick the inspiration from whatever you can get it from. You know what I'm saying? And both of their things that they do extremely well is the nostalgic thing. So I would think those old folders, like I would love to hear them actually pull some shit. Like wouldn't it be dope on this album if we got like an old Gangstar song that Guru and Primo never finished, but Guru was still on it, but Primo and Nas kind of tweak it and redo it. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear. Like me as like an old head Disneyland ass nigga wants to hear shit like that. I do.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair. Go ahead, Sean. I have one thought, but go ahead.
If that, like you said, it's a cheat, I'm okay with that, because if that's if we're going to get that version of them, we've heard that version of them, we love that version of them, and that's one of the biggest complaints that a lot of Nas fans have. They want to get that version of Nas and Preem that introduced them to the world of Nas and Preem. So if he has that in his tuck and he's going to reproduce that and bring it 2025, I'm okay with that. I don't care if it's a cheat code. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, y'all's points are valid. Y'all are changing my opinion a little bit, and I thought of one reason why. I guess it wouldn't be that bad. Like if they did that, I wouldn't want to know it though, right? I wouldn't want them to reveal that to the public. And two, we would have no way of knowing. I'm just holding Primo to the standard, but if I got to keep it all the way real, we would have no way of knowing if Nas went into his rhyme book from '98.
But I mean, AG, here's the thing
You know,
about it too. I think, at least in our case, your ear is probably astute enough that, oh no, you're gonna hear if that shit old. You're gonna hear it. Like you're gonna hear it. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to know. Part of what we talk about with the Nas and the Hit Boy run is how fresh the sound sounds for Nas. You're gonna be able
yeah,
to tell if it's some old shit.
Absolutely.
Because we've talked about how what Hit Boy did that was so remarkable is take something old and make it sound fresh and new. Well, what these guys need to do is actually take something old and make it sound fresh and new. And that's why I said I wanted Hit Boy around, like the way that Preem was around for some of this Hit Boy stuff that went down. I would like for
mhm.
Hit to be around for the stuff that Preem's doing.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like it's a good balance, and I feel like it's a good working relationship. It's good chemistry, and I like having the young guy in the room or the younger guy in the room, like that can be like, no, like you niggas is cool, but you just a little bit too old. It need to sound like this now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And,
Now,
and cool to
here
that
is one
point.
thing about this that I think people. Here's one thing that I think people are missing, and I started noticing this trend probably about 2 years ago on Do or Die 2. That old nostalgic 80s style sound has started to come back. I call it the Miami Vice sound, where it's like everything sound like Crockett and Tubbs about to come arrest all the niggas in the room. But that that style and that sound has come back a little bit. Preem is from that era that precedes us, and that's what I mean about taking something old. I mean even taking something old by their standards, by our hip hop standards. Not like the 92, 93, 94 Gangstar stuff. No, like the 88, 89, 90 stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like taking that and freaking it, taking some of those beat folders and going over it again. You know? That's what
Right.
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about taking like the shit that was left on the cutting room floor after Mass Appeal got made. You know?
Gotcha.
Right.
No. I'm more looking forward to the content, because one of the things that I loved about the Magic series and the KD series is the content what Nas was talking about. He was talking in the present.
Yeah.
Everything he was talking about in the Magic and KD series, he was giving you a reflection. He was giving you, in hindsight, he was giving you history, but he was more so talking about everything that's happening in the present. And he made it sound fly, made it sound dope. He wasn't talking about things that, other rappers are talking about that surround or whatever, right? He's talking about his life. and he made it fly. He made it dope. He's talking about, one of my favorite songs off of Magic 3 was just him talking on Tisk.
Yep.
He's an OG. He's talking about being an OG and how you got to get back to the art form. You know what I mean? You talk about Fever when he's talking about turning. He's about his birthday. You know what I mean? On Fever.
Yeah.
I'm playing that joint in a couple of weeks for my birthday because it makes you feel that way because he's giving you a realistic vibration throughout the entire series. If he can translate that, and he will translate that with Primo, under no circumstance with any kind of beat that Primo puts out there, the Primo beats, we good. We're good. It's the content that drives me more than anything else.
Right. And a lot of people were really messing with that Rock Marcy joint, the Armani section. I thought it was a pretty good track. I wasn't going crazy over it, but a lot of people was like, yo, this is the bag you need to be in for the Nas album. And I was personally thinking that joint is pretty tough, but I don't think it would be tough enough to make the cut on the Nas album.
It depends, like, because here's something that we need to be mindful of too. Nas doesn't need a lot, guys.
He don't.
True. He works the best with minimal instrumentation, not overproducing. That's why Nasir is one of his worst albums.
Right, but that's also why I'm like, no, go dig up some of that old like boom bap ass beat break. You know what I mean? Because that's where he thrives. He doesn't need a lot. You know what I mean? Like you can, like, how about this? When I listen to White Label, it's like, oh no, if Preem can give him White Labels, I think we'll be good.
That's my favorite record on that album.
But you feel me? Like, but style wise and beat wise, that's that pocket. It's like, oh no, he thrives on that sparse instrumentation as well as anybody who ever lived. And so it's like, if it's sparse, but the bass is heavy and the drum is kicking and the snare and the hi-hats like are snapping and it sounds dope. It's like we're gonna gravitate to it. So it's not like it's not like we're asking him to do a stellar job. We are asking him to do the right job though.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Like no. Like so I think I was listening to Nasir a couple of weeks ago and I was thinking like this is like I'd be good if the album was full of these. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's a good barometer. Because I don't want to I don't want to compare what Nas and Preem are doing to what Hit and him did because that's what people did to Hit about
and
Preem.
It wasn't fair. Yeah,
correct. And so it's not fair to do it in reverse. You can't have it on. You can't tell me that Heads is unfair and then tell me that Tails isn't. And so it's the other way around too. So I think right. So I think something like a White Label is something that we can look at pre-Hit Boy, but still in Nas's pocket, but still in Preem's pocket production wise.
Yes.
So if it's full of White Labels, I'm okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And fellas, the fact that he's around some of his peers, around Havoc, around Raekwon, around Ghost,
that energy, man,
that gives me encouragement because you got some high level MCs and guys from that era to course correct where needed. When you're collaborating like that, that's what made Jay so successful. When you're in the studio with Beans, you're in the studio with Sauce Money in the very beginning, you're in the studio with Kanye, being as creative as he is. You be in the studio with State Property, that's going to bring out that creativity. That's going to help you get over that hump and help you get that extra oomph in the back, right? Pause. And that's what I think you have in someone like a Havoc, Raekwon, Ghostface, people that he's grown up with in the game, and you got Preem right there, who's telling you, ready Nas, I'm ready Preem. You got all of this stuff around you.
Right.
You're going to get the best version.
Yeah, they don't get to cook it in the studio, telling, reminiscing of old stories, and Here
is the thing, though, guys. If they do a full album together, there do have to be at least one or two all-time classic joints on there. That's where the real pressure lies. They got it. They do everybody we do all understand that they need to make at least 2 or 3 songs that rival stuff that they've made before in order for this to even be a success, so to speak. And so there's still some very intense pressure on because their level's a little different. Their level's memory lane and Nas
It's
is like
different.
and represent and New York State of mind. Nah, that level's different. And do not tell me that you about to listen to an album full of Second Childhood. So when I'm talking about the classic stuff, I'm talking about the high end classic stuff. I'm not talking about
Yes.
Second Childhood or Come and Get Me Off Nostradamus. No, there need to be 2 or 3 records on there, like that's floating, like that give you the feeling of a memory lane or a Nas is like or New York State of Mind. Yes, they do have to do that. They do. Because to whom
They
much
do.
is given, much is expected. And if he's the
Yeah,
greatest MC of all time, and if he's one of the 2 or 3 greatest producers of all time, well then guess what you got to give us,
that's fair. That's fair.
right?
But I don't think we're.
Because Snoop and Dre have the Chronic and Doggy Style, my nigga. They do. So
They do.
They also
so
got
they
missionary.
so they get the coach. No, that was my whole point. So they get to have a missionary. They get to do that shit. No, they get to, but Sean, all jokes aside though, they get to do that for the rest of their career because they made the Chronic and Doggy Style. Who gives a damn? Who gives a
That's like
damn
that.
about the
That's like the
missionary?
Dave Chappelle joint where he's talking about Michael Jackson, but he made Thriller.
But he made Thriller. Damn right. Every time somebody talk about like I don't like Snoop like that, I'll be like he made Doggy Style in the Chronic. Like
Yeah.
you don't get to say that out loud in hip hop circles. It's like I don't fuck with Snoop like that. He made the Chronic and Doggy Style. Yes, you do, nigga. Shut up. Yes, you do.
Right.
But I think we missed the most encouraging part of the calendar, and for me, anyways. And we haven't talked about it. The fact that all this time is blocked off to and they've probably been doing sessions before now, but I know Nas was touring. It just makes me feel more comfortable that they're going to be in the studio together. This album wouldn't work with Primo sending Nas tracks. Let's call that what it is. It makes me feel more comfortable that they're going to be in the studio together.
That was one of those things that I don't think that they were going to get away with anyway, AG,
No.
quite frankly. Like we wasn't about to get away with that. It's like, oh, you sending them shit. We don't want it. Send it back.
Right.
That was going to be the response of the fan base. And
Right.
they both knew that
Yeah.
already. So that I don't even think that was ever on the table. I do actually think that the wait is about us and the fact that they knew that if the word were to get out and the word would get out, that they were sending tracks and not sitting in the studio, that we would have a fucking fit. And they were like, let's wait until we can sit down. So I will say, as much as I've been like low-key like talking shit about the wait's actually about us. It is.
Yeah.
It's about the base. It's about the base of people that's about to like fall in love with it instantly, and they've been waiting to hear it so long. If we were to hear that they were recording, like, quite frankly, in a traditional format where people are sending stuff while you're on tour and stuff, we would feel disappointed. We would.
Big facts. And the fact that they, because people forget Memory Lane and New York State of Mind, and those joints was created because Nas was in the studio helping him pick out the samples, the chop.
Yeah.
Nas was digging in the crates with Preem.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's what really. I mean, most of your all-time great rappers kind of already have a vision. And so the producer that they really work with is the person that kind of like lets them participate on the production side of the vision as much. You know what I'm saying?
Bingo.
So you hear a lot of stories about the rapper, not to bring it up and to bring Sean down a notch, but Jay-Z did similar things with Preem on Friend or Foe, where
He did.
Preem wasn't finished with the beat. And Jay was like, the beat's done. And Preem's like, but nah, I got more shit. Jay's like, nah, I like it like that.
Yep.
Like, that's how I want to rap to it. It's like, no, your
Yes.
great MCs have a vision for themselves.
Yep.
And Nas is one of those people, obviously. And so that's what I mean about going through the old folders and stuff like that, because that's the type of thing that'll activate somebody like Nas and make him hone in his vision, because he is, legendary MC, legendary thinker.
Yeah.
And that's how they think.
Yeah, to that
To a
point,
degree.
Jay-Z came up with the drop for 1,000,001 into Rhyme No More. Jay-Z came up with that, like, look, Preem, I want you to do this,
Yeah. I have a record that I never released that actually took a Nas and Rakim sample, but I had the samples intertwined and I had the producer mix it together, but it was my idea. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a vision for the record. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I had a vision for the record before I'd even started like recording regularly. So regularly, hey, can you do this? And he was like, that's fucking great. He was like, we're going to get sued because those two samples are never going to clear anyway.
It goes on the Coop Lost Tapes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how you work.
Volume 5.
Yep. So y'all about ready for this
Not
last
volume
segment,
5.
gentlemen?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right. So this last segment, you know, the anniversary of We Don't Trust You, like we spoke to earlier, was March 22nd of last year. And it got me to thinking that is what started the whole Kendrick and Drake beef. And then, you know, we're a year removed from that. But Kendrick, as far as his personal run that he's been on, this onslaught started on that date when he dropped Like That, when he's featured on Like That. So that got me to thinking, because a lot of people are saying Kendrick over this past year has had the best year we've ever seen for a solo act in hip hop. So I just started going through, like, you know, my mental Rolodex in my head and trying to think of a lot of people that had comparable years or better. And what I mean by that is fiscal years. For those of you who don't know what a fiscal year is, it's not necessarily a calendar year, January through December. I'm talking about from the time that your run starts, 365 days until it ends. And with Kendrick, his started on that March 22nd date and ran all the way through this year. So that was the litmus test to compare other rappers to. And Kendrick has a strong case for having one of the best years in hip hop history. I'm not arguing against that. But what I wanted to do was go through 10 other rappers who've had comparable or maybe better years, because in the social media era, everything is magnified, right? And back then, a rapper might have had a fiscal year that was so major. In present day, we don't remember how heavy that was. So that was the whole premise behind this concept, to really do a deep dive on some fiscal years that some rappers had. So as we get into that, I got an honorable mention that I want to, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to just read off the stats in the fiscal years, and I want you two gentlemen to react and talk about how heavy that fiscal year was, if that's all right with y'all. So to start out, we got this is an honorable mention. This was a heavy year, and it's not even making our top 10 list. And granted, the top 10 is not going to be in any particular order. This is just 10 that I feel had the heaviest years. But the honorable mention is Notorious B.I.G. You know what I'm saying? And Hoop alluded to earlier the work that he put in on was Two Portion alluded to his work in '97, the features on the Bad Boy, the Puffy album No Way Out, and everything he contributed during that time. I'm not counting that, because I look at that personally as more of a negative than a positive, because he never got to enjoy the fruits of his labor because he was taken from us in March of '97. So if anybody wonders why I'm not including that, it's for that reason alone, because the impeccable run that he went on with those features, as well as his own double album, he wasn't even here for that. So I think that's a major negative as far as that's concerned. But I do have another point in time for Big as an honorable mention, and I'm going to read through the stats. That fiscal year runs September 13th, 1994 through September 13th, 1995. On September 13th, 94, he dropped the classic album Ready to Die. We all know that. On February 21st, 1995, he dropped the controversial and classic single Who Shot Ya? On March 27th, 1995, he was on Total's debut single Can't You See off the New Jersey Drive soundtrack, which is one of Big's best features. On June 6, 1995, the One More Chance Stay With Me remix came out, which is Big's biggest record. And on August 29th, 1995, the Conspiracy album came out by Junior Mafia, which Big wrote majority of that album. And he was on, like Coop alluded to, Coop talked about this on Mirror Music. Big contributed a lot to other people hits on other people's albums. So that album boasted Get Money and Players Anthem, on those records, and he wrote the majority of the album anyway. So that's the fiscal year for a big that's an honorable mention. Gentlemen, would you like to react to that?
Can't wait to see your top 10 list if he didn't make it. So that would be the only thing I have to tell you.
That's
right
a heavy year.
That's a heavy year. That's a heavy year.
I don't know what top 10 better be good. I mean, because when you said that, it's like, no, I'm thinking about all those remixes and yeah, that's hard.
That's a heavy year. That's a heavy year. That's a heavy year. He's in the background so much that year though. He's like, yeah, that's a heavy year.
Major.
Yeah.
Major. And when I tried to put together this list, it was a lot of different factors. Commercial success was part of the rubric, critical acclaim, accolades, things outside of music. Because like I said, Kendrick was the measuring stick. You know what I'm saying? So like this 10 is not in any particular order, but this is the 10. So I'm going to kick it off with Kendrick Lamar's year that he had, fiscal year, March 22nd, 24 through March 22nd of this year. So I'm going to read off everything he did. Feature verse of the year of 2024 would Like That. Beats Drake in the head-to-head battle. He also had the legendary pop-out show June 19th, 2004. He dropped the surprise album GNX on November 22nd, 2004. At the 2005 Grammy Awards, he wins 5 Grammys for Not Like Us, clean sweep. He headlined the Super Bowl 59 halftime show on February 9th, 2025. During this year, he became the most streamed rap artist on Spotify, passing up Drake. And this is not falling within his fiscal year, but he announced it. He's slated to do the stadium tour with SZA starting in April. So I've got that as an honorable mention for his because the tour is not going on, but he announced it and created a lot of excitement. So with that rundown, what do you have to say about Kendrick's year that he had?
I can concur with that. Yeah, I mean it's hard to ignore what the what the stats and what the facts say. I would say that when you talk about 10 best artists fiscal year, one of the things that really worries me is that you talked about a lot of things and very little about his album. I do like it when classic albums are attached to your moment. And
You're right.
GNX is not that. And so while I would tell you that this is valid, the GNX not being a classic album does hurt it still, in my opinion, if we're talking about the 10 best fiscal years, because I'm pretty certain that most of your fiscal years have a classic rap album attached to them.
Very much so. But the reason why he's here is because he was the inspiration for the whole thing. So we're seeing how it stacks up to that.
That's fair.
What you got, Sean?
No, I agree with Cool. The album is like it's the catalyst if you're talking about year over year for a fiscal year. And if the album is not a certified classic, then I do think that carries a lot of weight to the, to take that weight down or take that weight up if it's a classic. The accolades are definitely there, singles are definitely there. But like we said about Big, honorable mention, they didn't have an album during that time. He was contributing to a lot of other albums, a lot of different features, but none of those albums or features that he contributed to, really the albums he contributed to, weren't certified classics. So that is a factor.
AG, let me ask you something, and I'm not trying to be funny or slick when I say this at all. Are any of your other top 10 fiscal rap years embodied in any sort of beef with an artist who was bigger than them at the time of the beef starting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm really fascinated by the list. Yeah.
All right. So moving on. So the number 2 person, like I said, this is not in order. We're just doing the 10. Matter of fact, we're gonna post the list on socials and let y'all rank the order 1 through 10 who you think got the best fiscal years to, you know what I'm saying? So y'all can engage with this topic. But next up, I got the legendary Tupac Shakur. His fiscal year began March 14th, 1995 through March 14th, 1996. His vital statistics are Me Against the World was released on March 14th, 95 while he was serving a prison sentence. The album went number 1 on the charts and it reached double platinum certification while he was in jail, despite not him despite him not being able to be in his promotional singles. 3 singles for that album, Dear Mama, So Many Tears, and Temptations. He's not even in those videos because he's serving a jail sentence, and the album still goes double platinum while he's in jail, close to triple. October of 95, he's bailed out of jail by Suge Knight and signs to Death Row Records. And then he releases the classic double album, hip hop's first double album, that is, on February 13th, 1996. And it went number 1 on the charts. The great Tupac Shakur. What y'all got to say about that year?
Cool.
Two classic albums.
Hold on. Arguably in this time, 2 classic albums. Made arguably hip hop's most classic song in this time. You get what I'm saying about like how like when you're talking about like an all-time great rap year, it's like, oh, this right here is an all-time great 1 year. Yeah, this might be the one. Like when I was thinking about your list, AG, this was actually the one that I was thinking about the most. I'm like, this might be the best year because nobody made 2 albums this good in a 1 year stretch in rap's history, in my opinion. Not this good, not to the level that both of these albums are, but also has the notoriety, the record sales on both albums. Like Me Against the World ends up going quadruple platinum, AG. It's triple platinum by the time he's getting out of jail. Ends up going quadruple. All Eyes on Me does another 6 mil. So that's 10 mil off the 2 albums. Both of them are rap classics. Some of the most classic rap songs on single and streetwise that you'll find are on these 2 records. It might be the best fiscal year that a solo rap artist has ever had. I'm going to be hard pressed to find one better that you about to say.
Checks every box.
It does, and also too. And listen to what I'm about to say. Went from superstar to icon in this moment in time too.
Absolutely.
Superstar to icon, a transition. Yes, all the things.
It checks everything.
Checks
storylines, controversy. Classic album, classic moment, anything you can ask for. It's just a changing of the guard. It's a trendsetter. It's a trailblazer. All of those things are synonymous with this. So yeah, it's pop. This is where pop became the legend.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That year over year is when pop became the legend.
in that year's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went from rap superstar to legend in that 1 year's time. Yeah.
In 1 year's time.
Mm-hmm.
Big facts.
Hard to beat.
So next up, moving on, this is the 3rd entry. We have DMX. His fiscal year ranging from May 19th, 1998 to May 19th, 1999. On May 19th, 98, he releases his classic debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, and went number 1 on the charts. On November 4th, 1998, he starred in his debut feature film, Belly, which is a classic. You know what I'm saying? So out of the gate, he's a movie star as well as, you know what I'm saying, a classic album under his belt. And then after that, he releases his classic sophomore album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, on December 22nd, 1998, and went number 1 on the charts. Then he co-headlined Hard Knock Life Tour with Jay-Z in March of 99 through May of 99, which was hip-hop's biggest selling tour at the time. And also on April 27th, 1999, he was one of the headline artists for the first Rough Riders compilation, Volume 1, which a lot of people hold that compilation very high. So, gentlemen, what you have to say to DMX's fiscal year?
It's another strong one.
To me, that's just as strong as Pac's, maybe.
It's up there because for different reasons. Because again, it's another changing of the guard. He took us out the Chinese suit era. He brought the streets back. Dropping 2, arguably, would you guys consider both these albums classic?
I do.
Or close to? Maybe
I think it's DMX's only. No, I will put and then there was X as a classic. I think DMX has 3. I think he has 3.
I think, and then there was X is really great, but it's not a classic. I think Flesh of My Flesh is barely a classic. And when I mean barely, there are some songs over there on that album where it's just like, well, he is just so striking and brilliant, has a writer, and
It's the
Tupac
beats
like,
that didn't age well. Yeah, it's the beats. It's the production.
yeah,
Swiss, yeah.
Swiss.
but he's pretty damn special on there. I would tell you, AG, it's funny that you were mentioning these two fiscal rap years after the Kendrick year, because when you told me that you were doing this list, these were the 2 years that I thought of first out my head. And that was Tupac's calendar year and DMX's calendar years. I would probably personally have these years 1 and 2 respectively. And here's why I would put Tupac ahead. Although Flesh of My Flesh is a classic, I think you can dispute the production. You can dispute the production on Me Against the World as well. And I say this with no disrespect to DMX. That lets you know how special a space Pac was in when he wrote the songs that are on Me Against the World, because it actually has some of the same production issues that Flesh of My Flesh has, but song wise is holding up so much better because, quite frankly, Pac is a better writer than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's just like at the end of the day, even for DMX, in DMX's brightest moment, it's like, no. Like, Pac's weak production moment is better than your weak production moment as far as classic material. And the nature of the classic songs, like DMX's best song out of those sets of songs might be like Get At Me Dog, Stop Being Greedy, Damien, Slippin', and it's like, as much as brilliant as those records are, no, that's not beating Dear Mama and California Love and So Many Tears and I Ain't Mad at You. It's not there. There are levels to this. Tupac is at the highest fucking level, even for DMX, and so but these would be my 1 and 2 years probably.
Yeah,
though.
and that, and I'm glad you said that, because that's speaking on what the albums are about. But Pac being locked up, DMX got the caveats of being able to go on the major Hard Knock Life tour and co-headline it, and he has Belly out there. Pac was a movie star as well, but during this fiscal year, him being locked up, kind of slowed down his movie role stuff.
I mean, okay, so I get what you're saying too, but this is what I mean about becoming an icon. When he got out of jail, MTV News was on the set for California Love, like shooting scenes. Like, that was different for a rapper to get that type of attention. It was like, hold on, it's like they don't be having us in fucking video shoots on MTV News. It's like, hold on, what?
From MTV.
What?
That was different.
MTV News is at the California Love video shoot giving us previews. Like, no, that was different. And so he might not. So he might not have been a movie, but he was a bigger movie star than DMX was, even though DMX had a movie. That's my whole point. That's how big he was. It's like, oh no, he didn't have a movie out, but he was getting treated like he had just dropped one.
He was.
Yeah, he was. Man, it was like that. And you want to know what else I thought about when you said that too? It is still wild to me that Suge was able to fly all the way from Cali and get this nigga out of Clinton before all them other New York guys he had relationships with. Everybody's like, why are you mad? It's like, that would be at the core of the issue. It's like, oh, all y'all know me, ain't nobody gonna come post bail but Suge. Yeah. Yeah, it might have you feeling like you got set up.
Yep. Right. So going on to next on our list, we got Sean's favorite rapper, Sean Carter, Jay-Z. Jay-Z at his peak, fiscal year, October 31st, 2000, October 31st, 2001. He drops the, what many people consider a compilation album, Rock La Familia. It goes #1. Then a not talked about enough moment in hip hop, but it's one of the most major moments for me in hip hop. January 12th, 2001. Jay takes the Rockefeller crew with State Property, Bleak, all them up to Hot 97 for Funk Flex, and does the freestyle sessions over all Queens beats. CNN, Mobb Deep, Nas, they're killing everything. And that's when it was really up, when they did that classic freestyle session. I remember we burned that on a CD back when you could download off Kaza, and we was playing that freestyle session like an album for months. All right. That was January 2001. On June 28th, 2001, he headlines Hot 97 Summer Jam. That's when he put Prodigy on the Summer Jam screen. Demolished Prodigy, and then he set off the battle with Nas, asked Nas he don't want it with Hov. And then to top everything off, he brings Michael Jackson out on stage. September 11th, 2001, at the peak of his powers, drops the classic album, The Blueprint, and receives his first ever 5 mic rating in the Source magazine. And people still went and copped the album and did numbers, even though it came out on 9/11, which was a tragic day in U.S. history. Fellas, react to that year.
Okay, first of all, when tragedy, see, and white America needs to understand it's about black people. When tragedy happens to black people, we call it Friday. Okay, the album came out on Friday, so that's how we deal with tragedy. It's like, such and such had happened. How many people had died? It's like, yeah, Tuesday, right? So Jay did numbers because Jay was big. I will tell you that until you told me that the Blueprint dropped, I was like, I'm sitting this rating all the way in the back next to Kendrick on this top 10 until you said that the Blueprint dropped, and then it made me go, but the Blueprint, because the Dynasty's not enough for me. Sending Chris and Neef and Sieg up the Hot 97's not enough for me. Now the Summer Jam thing is a big deal, but so the first half of that year, AG, I'm not as big on it as other people might be. I don't think that it's too much to write home about. Oh, but the Summer Jam with Mike and bringing out Mike doing the Prodigy thing and then dropping the Blueprint, which had the full takeover disc with the Nas disc included. Oh no, you can give me all that, and that second half of the year is enough for him to get in that top 10. Because when I tell people nobody's ever been as large in this sphere as he has been, this side of Rock M at the peak, that's that moment that I'm talking about. Like
This
right
is him
there.
at the peak of his powers, yes.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Any words on your favorite?
Nah, I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, I don't want to say it. At the end of the day, Jay was the one. He was the one in hip hop at this time. Like Coop said, the first half was just more of a warm up, but then you get to the Blueprint. That's when everything is a go. That's when everything is full throttle. So you're talking about the year over year. That first year, you can probably say, yeah, the first half of that year, he was just warming up. But that's when he really caught fire with Blueprint, because Blueprint was a combination of everything that took place before it got to Blueprint. You're talking about the success of Volume 2, the success of Volume 3, the Dynasty. Now you got Jay's legacy starting to kind of ramp up. And then you come back and you hit it with Blueprint. Blueprint was like the bases are loaded. Now I'm hitting everything out the park. Everybody come on home. That's Blueprint to me. Because he took a shot at Prodigy, got the best of Prodigy, God rest his soul, and he took a shot at Nas. And at that time, in real time, again, this prior to Ether, we thought that Nas was done. After Jay did that, because Jay was so powerful, and you bring in Michael Jackson on stage, on Summer Jam stage. He was untouchable at that time.
Right.
And then he got touched. Next fiscal year, AG.
So the fifth entry, like I said, no particular order. We just going through all 10. The fifth entry to the fiscal year is Eminem. So shout out to Akash, if you're watching, this one's for you. Eminem, his fiscal year is May 26, 2002 to May 26, 2003. On the 26th, May 26, 2002, he drops the #1 album, The Eminem Show. The album's currently diamond certified. On November 8th, 2002, he stars in his breakout hip-hop film 8 Mile and curates the critically acclaimed soundtrack. Lose Yourself is one of his biggest records to date on that soundtrack. The Eminem Show album wins Grammy for Best Rap Album of the Year that year. February 6, 2003, Shady Aftermath signee 50 Cent releases classic album that Eminem is featured on 2 tracks, and he co-executive produced the project with Dr. Dre. So not only is he making dope albums himself, starring in feature films, but he's making big-time executive moves. Fellas, react to Eminem's fiscal year.
Strong year.
I love this year, AG, actually. Like, when you sat up there and listed it off, like, when you started, I was like, here, AG, go with this bullshit.
Man, this is prime M. This is my favorite M era.
Well, hold on. I was about to say, first of all, 8 Mile's actually a dope movie, okay?
It's really dope.
It's a dope movie,
It's a dope movie with a really dope soundtrack, which might have his best mic performance on there in Rabbit
Rabbit
Run.
Run. Yes, sir.
Right, and not only does and this is just the soundtrack. Not only does the soundtrack have what might be his best mic performance in Rabbit Run, it still might have what is his walkout theme music song. Much like T.I.'s "What You Know Will Lose Yourself" would be his walkout theme music. And
Mhm.
so that would be this time too. The Eminem Show, I have come over to the train of thought and to the thinking that the Eminem Show is his best album. So did he make his best album, his best song, his best bar seminar, and a movie in a calendar year? Yeah, he did. Did he go diamond all the way through some ridiculous records why he did it? No, AG, it checks off the boxes. It's a wonderful pick. When you got done talking, my immediate thought was that this might be a top 5 year.
And it's signed 50. Had the wherewithal to say, like, yes, I want him on my roster.
I'm not giving us that because we didn't know what 50 was going to become yet, because in everything else he has is enough to me. That's like feather in the cap stuff, because
Right,
if
but
you're looking at it in hindsight, it's like, oh, he signed 50 that year. Well, that year that you're saying that, so what?
but as an executive, Eminem has signed a lot of artists over the years, and none of them have been able to do what 50 was able to accomplish.
Right.
So,
I
and
mean,
that was one of his early moves. Like, if you look, that's after the earliest stuff, the D12 and then the Obi Trice and all that. That was his power move for his label. Like, Shady Aftermath wasn't a player in the game until that move.
First of all, Obi Trice's Cheers went platinum and is a dope project a lot of people don't talk about.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It
But
went platinum and
became major players with that sign.
no, they did, but this is what I'm saying and this is why I'm not giving them credit for it. Oh, none of us knew when he signed 50 that 50 had turned himself into the greatest hook writer we had ever seen in rap history. Don't tell me that he knew. Don't tell me that. No, we didn't know. Nobody seen it coming. I've been listening to that dude since like '97. I did not see that coming. Right. That's what I mean. I'm not giving him credit for it, because what 50 really became on that album was about the hooks and the catchiness of it. It's like, oh no,
Sure.
don't tell me that you've seen 50 going selling 10 million
Yeah, but
records.
the two cosigns help. That didn't hurt any.
The cosigns probably got him to double or triple, but them hooks and in the club got him to dime in. Yeah. He sold about 6. How about this? I always looked at it like, even though M and Dre did the cosign, 50 still did most of the heavy lifting, and I've always given him credit for that. Yeah,
absolutely.
He still did most of the lifting. He took the cosign better than anybody ever did.
100%. 100%. What you got, Sean?
But this is a powerful year, man. That's a powerful year. This is a hard year to beat because of all the success that came along with it. You got a classic album. You got the album sales are there. The Grammys are there. Everything is there. He done a lot. And this is, honestly, this is him leading up again to having another great album. You're talking about third or fourth number one album in a row?
Third
number one album in a row.
So third and fourth, because if you're attaching 8 Mile to his actual number one albums, this would be 4. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm talking about, you got the years prior to that, he was killing it, and this year he just pretty much captured everything year over year. So
I mean,
this is a hard one to beat too.
Right now, AG, if I was ranking the years that you've given out, I would go Tupac 1, DMX 2, Eminem 3, Jay-Z 4, Kendrick 5. If I was ranking the years so far,
yeah. We're halfway through, man. We'll keep on going through the list. Next up, who I consider to be the GOAT, Nasir Jones, and because of the reason why I consider him to be a GOAT, he has 2 entries. But this first one I'm gonna do kind of sort of like an honorable mention, because I think it's the least heavy of the 2, but it's still a hell of a year. And shout out to Andrew for helping me edit this one. We got Nas December 2. This is most recent. Nas December 24th, 2021 to December 24th, 2022. December 24th, 2021 drops the classic album Magic for Christmas Eve Surprise. Then for the 2022 Grammy Awards on April 3rd, wins his first ever Grammy for the KD1 album. He headlined the first leg of the New York State of Mind tour with Wu-Tang Clan in the United States that ran from August 2022 to October 2022. A very successful tour. I went to that show. King's Disease 3 album is released on November 11th, 2022, and is an instant classic. In completion of the King's Disease trilogy on November 11, 2022, Nas announced that he would headline Madison Square Garden for a one-night only show in February of 2023, which doesn't fit into his fiscal year, but he announced that he would be doing the show, and then tickets went on sale. And that show featured the KD trilogy in the performance. So that's a Nas honorable mention year. What do y'all got to say about that?
Objectively, I don't think it deserves to be in the top 10.
Right. And that's why it's an honorable mention year, because his for real entry will be a top 10 one. What you got, Sean?
It deserves to be there.
Yeah. Well, when we listen to this other one's heavy. So
the degree of difficulty is what gets me. It's
okay.
the degree of difficulty. You're talking about someone who's arguably the GOAT, right? And you're talking about him in his third or fourth career trimester, if you will.
Yes.
And he's doing this year over year. No one in his peer group has done this before.
No,
at this stage in their career. A lot of them tried. We've seen it. We saw Buster, who made some attempts at it. These are his peer groups.
I hear that. You just can't sit it next to those other years and say
no,
it's viable.
You can't. Right. You definitely can't. Absolutely not. No,
I put an asterisk beside this one because this is an honorable mention one. He was the only one with 2 entries on the list, but this was the honorable mention one. This is just me being a fan, calling him the GOAT, and it's for reasons like this. So his actual entry, we'll get to that.
It's great.
His fiscal year went December 18th, 2001 to December 18th, 2002.
I was hoping you would pick that one. I was hoping you would pick that year. Yes.
Drops a classic album, Stillmatic, on December 18th, 2001, and receives his second 5 mic rating in the Source magazine. He beats Jay-Z in the best hip-hop battle of all time. Yes, that's the best hip-hop battle of all time. It's not the biggest because of the Kendrick Drake thing, but this one is the best. It produced 2 classic albums. On September 23rd, 2002, drops the Lost Tapes to critical acclaim. Old gems that was already classic in the streets to keep the momentum going. He said, yo, I'm going to just give y'all fans this because y'all been wanting it. And then December 13th, 2002, releases Godson to critical acclaim. And that same week, he dropped the classic performance at Webster Hall. I think it was Webster Hall, the Godson Live, where he did the first performance of Ether, brought Jadakiss and Luda on stage, that classic performance. So to your point, Coop, we talk about classic albums. This run arguably produced 3 classic albums.
So remember I said nobody's done 2 albums that good in one year? Well, I was right when I said that about Tupac, but I'm also right. I'm also right what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say about Nas. Ain't nobody made 3 albums this good in one year.
Right.
Ever. Not and this is actually further away than being close than the Tupac thing is, because Tupac does have DMX. Is 2 albums to contend with. This 3-album run, for me, is actually him at the peak of his powers. As crazy as that seems, because it's post-Illmatic and post-It Was Written.
His second trimester, like Sean said.
But this is when. How about this? This is when the great MC still existed, and he became a great song maker at the same time. This is when that moment happened. The lyricism and the top tier lyricism and storytelling hadn't faded yet, but he had become a better song maker. The songs that you find on Stillmatic and on Godson, they sound more fuller and more complete in terms of the thought and the execution of song, even if the song's not better. The MC is still there. He did take down the biggest MC at the biggest peak of his powers in the history of rap. Big notch on the belt. He did drop a classic album while doing it. He did follow it up by dropping a classic album of unreleased material, showing like that his cutting floor shit literally is better than your favorite rapper's best album, which is another feather in the cap. And then there is Godson, which arguably has his best song that he ever released, which is Made You Look on there. On top of that being a borderline classic. Yes, it's a top 10. And here's what else I would tell you, honorable mention, AG, what I would actually submit to you, and I'm not sure where the actual timeline falls on it, but I actually think you could give him honorable mention from about August of 1995 with that verse on Verbal Intercourse off the Purple tape, all the way into August of 96. It Was Written coming out and some of the other features and stuff he was getting, because also people forget this. While he was dropping that album that year, he was also on a big tour with the Fugees.
Yes, that was his most commercially successful year. He
Yeah,
had
so
so many fiscal years you could like pull from.
right.
Like
So you can go August. I would take August '95 to August to '96 on the honorable mention over the KD run. Just me personally, the Magic KD thing. Me personally.
Yeah, that's a good pull. But far as like the one, it has to be this just because the.
No, I agree. This is the one.
Yeah,
This is the one.
has to be.
Yeah.
What you got, Sean?
No, I agree. This is the one. I don't know if Godson is a universal classic. It's a personal classic for me.
Yeah.
I hold that album very, very high personally. But I can't concede to the fact that it might not be a universal classic. But I still think that Stillmatic is a classic.
Oh,
you got
yeah.
Stillmatic, you got Lost Tapes, which is a classic, and you got Godson. That's 3 stellar outputs in one calendar year.
Well, how about this? You could argue prior to this KD Magic run that he made 3 of his 5 best albums in 1 year.
No,
like,
this is his best run. This is his best run.
Yeah, it's like because even and this is depending on how you feel about it. It's like, well, these 3 albums along with It Was Written and Illmatic was his top 5. And it was not even up for discussion until Life is Good got made. And even then was a discussion. So you got to think about it. It's like, oh no, it was another 10 years before he made an album that even cracked the conversation of this run.
Yeah, exactly.
Nas fans ate good during this time after coming off a tumultuous 1999 going into 2000.
It was great. AG, I've gloated and I've never stopped gloating and reminding all the J fans that chastise me. I've never stopped reminding. I remind them, be like, hey, remember when you picked Hove though? Be like, hey, remember when you picked Hove? Be quiet.
And that's, to me, that's what gives this an extra off, because we talked about Jay and his run, and Nas is synonymous with that year-over-year run with Jay. So it's connective tissue between that run that Jay had and this run that Nas had that year-over-year as well, because he took down the biggest artist in hip hop at that time, which is not an easy feat. To your point, Coop, we relished in that moment. When Ether came on, my whole crew, they got me in a circle. And all I could do is this. That's all I could do.
Sean was levitating.
I was levitating. It circled me, man. When Ether first came out, I was, man, look, we come from a great era, fellas. I was there live when Ether came out. I was literally in the club when it dropped. I was in Newport News, Virginia, Bad News, Virginia.
Bad News.
And all my homeboys like, yo, that your guy? And they just circled me. And I just did
the only thing that I could equate it to, and people have to understand this is what people really thought about Nas. People looked at Nas around this time the way people looked at Ali right before he beat George Foreman. It's like, oh no, we know you was the champ. We know you was the man, but some years have passed, and this guy is knocking everybody out in vicious fashion, and he might be the best guy we've ever seen. And much like people in Ali's camp were concerned, people in Nas's camp were concerned. You understand?
Yeah.
And much like Ali, like greatest of all time, people are supposed to do. Oh no, he responded in kind with his best shot, which is what you expect your greats to do in every respective field. And so when we talk about it, I know the YNs be like, yo, y'all really like overhyping like the J Nas thing. It's like, no, we're not. It's very much like rope-a-dope, like in the sense it's like, oh no, I don't think you understand. Much like before Ali stepped into that ring, people thought that might be the last time Ali stepped into the ring.
Yeah.
He did.
Can you imagine if social media was around during that era? But
it was bad.
How about this? If social media would have been around for the Nas thing, he would be the GOAT and it wouldn't even be a conversation. If social media was around for the Ali thing, Ali would be the greatest figure in the history of sports and it wouldn't even be conversational. That includes with Michael Jordan involved. It's still the greatest victory in the history of sports, in my opinion. People don't understand who the fuck George Foreman is. That motherfucker had 29 knockouts in 31 fights, and he knocked down Joe Frazier 4 times.
Yeah.
He knocked down
I
Joe
mean,
Frazier 4 times. Joe Frazier the type of nigga you knock down 4 times.
so,
Muhammad Ali never knocked down Joe Frazier 4 times. You understand?
Right. So before we move on to the next one, so Cool, it sounds like you saying that this one is slap boxing with Pac or DMX for the number 1 spot or number 2 spot.
It's
I'm
it's
biased.
He said I'm biased.
I ain't gonna lie. But I get it's only
I would tell you objectively, it would be hard for me to put it ahead of Eminem,
it's hard.
DMX, and Tupac.
It's
Objectively,
It's
like
hard.
I'm looking, we're like because here's the thing: if we want to put him that high, we're talking about the craft of MCing and album making strictly, and this conversation isn't totally about that. So I
Versus
think
commercial success, you know.
so, and he went platinum a couple times off this
Well,
stuff, and
no,
he did some big things.
Stillmatic is 2 times platinum. Godson is either 1 or 2 times platinum. And Lost Tapes, it was, you know what I'm saying, no promotion behind it. I don't know if it went gold or whatever, but still a classic record.
I think about the classic nature of the songs that got made, the classic nature of the albums, and taking down Jay. I think 4 is a very comfortable place to put him if I were making this. Because it's hard. Because the Eminem Show is a diamond album, and it is a classic album. 8 Mile is a super big moment, guys. It like was everywhere. Like we can't just ignore that. And
look at you giving him props. I love it, man.
No. When you gave me the rundown, because here's the thing about it. Oh no, I remember M's moment in real time. That was a real deal. That was a real big deal.
Well,
it was.
We still got 4 more to go on this list. It might shake up a little bit more. So next up, the 6th entry. We got. Hold on. This is the 7th entry. Sorry. We got Snoop Dogg. Fiscal year December 15th, 1992 through December 15th, 1993. He's on the 15th, December 15th, 1992. He's the main featured artist on the classic album The Chronic by Dr. Dre. November 23rd, 1993, he drops his classic album debut, Doggy Style, that went number 1 on Billboard and sold over 800,000 in its first week.
That's ridiculous. That still sounds ridiculous to say that now. It was 1993.
That's
1993. That's literally the equivalent of selling like 3 million records right now, like in a week, literally.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, which without knowing that he was going to be on this list.
I didn't know it was in a calendar year. I keep forgetting that the Chronic dropped in December because Dre Day was out. It felt like before that, so long before that. I feel like Dre Day was out 3 or 4 months before the Chronic even came out.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Like me and Sean talked about this. Even when the Chronic dropped, the video for Deep Cover was still in heavy circulation.
Yeah,
Deep Cover. It's one of the best rap songs ever. It's one of the best rap songs ever. Of course, it's still in rotation. It's one of the best rap songs ever. Yeah, it's in rotation. Matter of fact, when did he make Deep Cover? I mean, shit. Because I mean, hold on. When did
that was April of 92.
April of 92, right? What about
it was still in rotation come December?
When was the Murder Was the Case soundtrack drop?
94.
It was 94.
It was 94. Okay.
I was at that question. I asked that one as well. I mean, that was part of it.
But you got the song that inspired that, on Doggy Style though. So
right,
objectively, you'd have to put Snoop at number 1.
I mean, those classics is heavy.
I mean, first of all, album-wise,
commercial success. Critical
I mean, that's
acclaim,
what I'm saying. So here's the thing: he's selling just as many records as Tupac before Tupac. Album, as far as classic albums, it's the only entry that has 2 of the top 10 rap albums on there. Because I mean, and this is nothing against his Dark and Hell is Hot and All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World or even Stillmatic or Lost Tapes or the Eminem Show. None of those are top 10 rap albums. No. Doggy Style and The Chronic are top 10 rap albums.
Some people will try to tell you Blueprint is, but I wouldn't say so.
No, it's not. Those are lies. Those are bald-headed lies. Bald-headed lies. Fresh cut. Bald-headed lies. And yeah, so Snoop would be number 1 because it's I tell people this. It's like, oh no, The Machine, Rap Superstars, Snoop, Chronic, Doggy Style. That is where that shit exist. That shit did not exist before Snoop. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what them old niggas say before that. Oh no, we was this. No, you wasn't, nigga. You wasn't selling no 800,000 records in a week. Go sit your ass down somewhere, because nobody was. Yeah. And so it's actually that rare moment where he had the most record sales at the time, and he had the best music at the time, and it matched up. That would make him number one. He had the two classic albums, and they were actually both like selling the best-selling rap albums for their respective years, and they deserve to be. Like, yeah, number one,
Yeah, what you
number
got,
one.
Tom?
No, it's hard to not put it
I
there.
told you, you can't compete with the Chronic and Doggy Style. That's what I be telling niggas. You can't compete
Back
with
to
that
back.
shit.
You got Chronic and Doggy Style in year over year.
Can't compete with that.
You
You can't
ushered
compete
in
with
the
that.
P-Funk era. You carry an entire coast.
Yep.
Not a city, not a state, a coast.
The world, Craig.
You had
World.
you had the East Coast looking at you as the top dog, no pun intended, because of all the success. It's just the carryover is just too much.
Yep.
It's
Like,
so much.
It's that he had the moment back to back at such a high clip. It's just
It's
That's what
insane.
I'm saying.
It's
It's
insane.
it's literally it's how about this? How about this? He made more hit records on those two albums than Big did on his two albums.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And that's the whole purpose of this, Coop. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know we get to be prisoners of the moment, and like people see Kendrick's here and they like, I can't fathom anything being bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, people who didn't see Mike play in real time and watching LeBron, like, yo, I can't fathom anybody being better than LeBron. Like, convince me. That's the whole purpose of this. Like, a lot of these things, you just had to be there for it. And then when you running it down and recounting the events of what happened, you're like, damn, like, yo, it's people that have big moments in hip hop. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to educate the fan base for real. So,
I mean, not being funny, like that Snoop moment is still the moment to me. And it's like when you said that, and this is what I mean, it's like, and you telling me that Kendrick made this list for GNX and for beating Drake?
well,
Like,
like I said, he was the barometer. He was the barometer, so he had to be on the list.
Right. No, and I understand that. But now look at where the measuring stick is gone, because now we have the Chronic and Doggy Style. And that is a real measuring stick.
With the numbers attached to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
4 million and 5 million in a calendar year, respectively. Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah.
And it changes everything. It created a whole new ecosystem of hip hop.
The records, the album, the culture, the iconic status, the production, the rhymes, the sing-alongs. Like, no, people rolling down the street, smoke. No, that shit. No, everybody played that shit nonstop.
Yeah. So moving on, this is an example of this guy. This is an example of, with this next entry, you just had to be there. It was a time. It's actually one of my favorite times ever in hip hop. Like I said, it's one of those moments you just had to be there. And that person on the list is Kanye West. Fiscal year running August 20th, 2010 to August 20th, 2011. What a time to be alive for Good Fridays. That Good Friday run, dropping a track every week on Friday from August 20th through December 17th, 2010. That was a fire time right there. Then he dropped that leading up to Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is his classic album. Many people will say is his magnum opus. He dropped that on November 22nd, 2010. And then he spun the block on August 8th, 2011 to do the collab album with Jay-Z, Watch the Throne. Fellas, what do you have to say to that?
Again, this is another stellar year over year, because I think this is also this year. When I was putting together the visuals for this year and I was typing everything out, a couple of things came to mind. I said, this is the year. This year over year was when Kanye became a megastar. This is when he really ascended into a whole different stratosphere. And I also think this is also the year over year that Kanye got crazy. Because of all of that success, and all that creativity that he was doing that year over year. Now, everything else he did before this year was really great. But this was such a strong and pivotal year for Kanye. it gave him two different things. It gave him mega stardom, but it also gave him that mega ego. That ego that drove him the way he's now. Because this is where he made that hard transition, a hard pivot into everything. And that's when he was out of here. We didn't get old Kanye late registration anymore. We didn't get College Dropout anymore. And we damn sure didn't get My Beautiful Dark Fantasy anymore. We got a whole different version of Kanye after this year over year happened. It was like a maturation process for him that went crazy.
It's fair. Coop, what you got, bud?
I'm kind of funny about this pick, and not because I'm being funny about Kanye. I'm just not sure how much he deserves to be on this list. I think this is more about his iconic status and the true iconic nature of the music. I feel like this is more of a culture shift. I would put it on the back end, closer to the Kendrick and the Jay.
You might not hold the Good Fridays as high as I did, but that was my main buy-in for the list.
Yeah, I enjoy the Good Friday series, AG, and you have talked about it and waxed poetic about it. And actually, you want to know what, AG? I'm going to go back and listen to the Good Friday series again, because you have spoke about it many times and being a big fan of it. Maybe I need to give it another run. I mean, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is enough, and all the controversy surrounding him and it at the time to probably like slide him in here in this calendar year, because those Good Friday records were good enough. I'm just not.
And then Watch the Throne, you know. The Coop Freeze.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. Yeah, because I think you were off, like when I mentioned Watch the Throne is in that fiscal year too.
Well,
but
not really helping me, but I hear what you're saying.
but what I'm glad you're saying, you know, the stance that you're taking on this, because that's what I mean with the Good Fridays. It's one of those things, like if I tell you about it, then you're like, okay. And even though you were there for it in real time, if you wasn't tapped in, like Kanye had everybody waiting by a computer to download and listen to a track every Friday night. It was hysteria.
Chain heavy.
Christian Dior Denim Flow.
Yeah, the Dior Denim. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to him again. Some of that shit was pretty tough. I guess you want to know what? That was one of those. That was around that time, guys, where I had actually like stopped rapping, and I fell out of love with rap a little bit, and so I didn't follow the whole. Like I followed Ye and followed like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy more than I followed the culture as a whole at that time. I was a Kanye fan still. So that was one of those gaps for me. So I might have missed some things culturally about Ye's importance at that time, that version of Kanye at least. Yeah.
That's fair. But a lot of people forget that during that run of Good Fridays, Monster was introduced via Good Friday. Devil in a New Dress was introduced via Good Friday. So Appalled was introduced via Good Friday. Most of the classic material on the album was introduced prior to on the Good Friday releases. So it's one of those things you have to like really go back and look at it to framework it. You know what I'm saying?
I would need to listen to the Good Friday series like in sequential order how it was released.
Yeah, they have it like on YouTube, like a mixtape where it's like a whole album, like you know what I'm saying, over an hour. So, but it was fire. But you know, even to that point, would you say like where I had Big's year as an honorable mention? Do you feel like that Big year should be in the list over this Kanye year?
I don't know how biased I am about saying that. I'm about to say I feel like if I say that I'm like get off my lawn with it, and so I don't want to do that. You know, I would prefer to pick a big year.
I like it though because this is the first controversial one.
Right. Okay, so the big year that you picked wouldn't be the big year that I picked.
Yeah, I prefaced that. I don't remember if you was on or not, but I prefaced it by the 97. I count that more as a negative because he wasn't here for that. You know what I'm saying? To like, you know, that's a bittersweet shit, you know?
It's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough because big years are like we talked about it earlier. You're talking about from Ready to Die to Life After Death. He did stuff in between. But the things that he was doing in between was like more so ghostwriting, you know, features and things of that nature. But it was spread out, through those 3.5 years time span. So you're not talking about a year over year of Big's, I guess high level excellence, if you will.
Right. Right.
I
But that
think
was dope. I liked a little bit of controversy. We wasn't all aligned on that, but yeah, definitely go back and tap into that. Shout out to Jack. Like, I remember in the Discord, I was like talking about how dope the Good Friday series was, and then Jack said he had never heard any of those tracks. So I put him the whole track list in the Discord. He went back and tapped in and was like, it was dope. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.
Jack needs all the education and all the help he can get. So we want to thank you, AG, for teaching his ass. He needs all the help he can get. Send him some more hip hop literacy expeditiously.
Shout out to Jack,
expeditiously.
Man. The next entry, this is number 9. Like I said, no particular order. This is the 9th entry. It's one of those situations you just had to be there. It's Lil Wayne. All right. We got June 2007 through, what's that? Yeah. June 2007 through June 2008. In 2007 alone, he was featured on over 100 songs all across different genres. Over 100 songs. Like, he wasn't turning down anybody. And he was giving them fire verses. I don't care if you was rock, pop, whatever. He was giving you heat. His mixtape catalog was still in heavy rotation during this time. And then he released what many people consider his magnum opus, The Carter 3, on June 10th, 2008. Which a lot of people forget that went platinum in the first week it was released. React.
Shout out to LT. Shout out to LT.
LT. I got
See, I was here in real time for this too. I will tell you this, AG. I like this pick more than I like the Kanye, Jay, and Kendrick pick. I do. Okay. Because Wayne, Wayne was the first person, quite frankly, to prostitute himself on the mic and make it sound cool. He was all everywhere.
He was.
Yeah, that's right. I live in Atlanta. I know about prostitutes. Live in Atlanta. Know all about prostitution. Yeah, that's my ex.
It's like the coach thing all over again. Go ahead, Cooper. Cooper flag be wild.
People have to understand that we had never seen somebody work at this proficiently before for this brief time. And the culmination of it was the Carter 3, which was his moment, and for most people, a classic. I like this pick, AG. I was worried that you were actually going to kind of miss over this, because I think it would be easy for history to forget Wayne if we don't remind people of like who he really was, like at his peak. People had you believe it just went like from 50 to Kanye. It's like, hold up, what about Wayne? Like, what about Wayne? Wayne was right there. Like, Wayne was right there. Right.
Facts. Sean, what you got?
Shout out to LT. Yeah, this was a powerful year for Wayne, man. This is when I actually became a Wayne fan. I thought Wayne was garbage at one point. I'll be honest with you. I told you guys
500 degrees. 500 degrees, yeah.
I'm like, yo, this guy trash, man. Like, what y'all seeing this guy? Wobbity, dropping like it's hot. What is this? You know what I mean? But then he switched it up. He came through, and when he did this, he went on this crazy run, mixtape run, and then he dropping, actually an arguably classic album in that year over year. You got to give it to him. Wayne was everywhere. Wayne created one of those things. A new wave of MCs, of rappers.
He did. It's one of those things when people are like, man, you tripping. Like Wayne's year, that year that you're talking about, AG, that's one of those. No, go look it up. You're like, what do you do? Go look it up. Go do some research. Go look it up.
You had to be there.
That's the year they created all the kids that he has in the game now.
Here's where how he ended up with all the kids. He spread his seed everywhere. You are not going to find a Wayne record from that time that somebody who is a fan of rap does not like in some sort of shape, form, or fashion. That person does not exist. That person is lying to you if they're telling you they do not like some of those records.
He was getting calls from everywhere.
Deservedly so.
Right, he was the guy.
He was.
All right, guys, we got one more entry on this list. This is the 10th one. Last but not least, I have The great Ice Cube.
There it is.
October 1990 through October 1991. All right, by October 1990, America's Most Wanted is certified platinum by October 1990. It wasn't released, so that doesn't fall in his fiscal year, but he did get a platinum certification that October. But he did release the classic Kill at Will LP. The Kill at Will EP. People don't talk about this EP enough. That was released December 19th, 1990. Classic. The EPs were more common back then, but that's not brought up enough. In July 1991, Boys in the Hood movie release, starred in his first feature film, which is a classic, and his acting debut. And on October 29th, 1991, Death Certificate was released and is an all-time classic, one of the greatest albums of all time. We talked about it during our bracket. It's not mentioned enough. And then on the last track on Death Certificate, No Vaseline, he took down the NWA crew for Dolo with the scathing No Vaseline diss record. That was React.
Sorry, my top three are all West Coast guys. I'm sliding Ice Cube in at number 3. Sliding Ice Cube in.
Who's gonna do that?
Snoop, Pac, Ice Cube, DMX, Nas. Gonna have to slide on down.
I'm not mad at that.
Because here's the thing about it. First of all, AG, and I didn't realize it till you said it. We need to call Kill at Will what it is. Kill at Will is the best rap EP in rap history.
Ever.
Kill at Will is the best rap EP ever made, right?
Right.
Death Certificate is one of the 20 best rap albums ever made, correct?
Thanks.
America's Most Wanted is the first 5 mic album from a West Coast artist. So even though it didn't get released, it getting certified platinum is a pretty big deal in the time that it got released.
And Boys in the Hood is one of the best movies in our culture, period.
It might be the most culturally fabric, intense moment that relates back to hip hop of all the hip hop films that we have. And so like he in some circles, he is just as famous for being Doughboy as he is Ice Cube.
Right. And then one more thing, when we're talking about best, No Vaseline is arguably the best diss record of all time.
I was getting there. He took we realized the world's most dangerous rap crew was not dangerous without Ice Cube. Yeah, we did. It's like them niggas ain't dangerous
find out in
no
real
more.
time, real fast.
It's about to catch a body. Everybody caught a body. Ren caught it the worst, but everybody caught one. So yeah, AG. I mean, when I look at it, it's like, I mean, it takes Snoop making 2 of the 10 best rap albums ever, and Tupac, quite frankly, being at his zenith and out of prison to top Ice Cube. So I'm going. My top 5 would go Snoop, Pac. Actually, when I think about it, if I'm being objective, I might have to put Ice Cube at number 2, guys, because Boys in the Hood is a real big deal. Death Certificate. Although I prefer All Eyes on Me, I tell you, Death Certificate's better than All Eyes on Me.
We actually there was a round where they went head to head, and we picked Death Certificate over All Eyes on Me, and in the round in the bracket.
I wouldn't be surprised about that. How about this? I prefer the songs individually on All Eyes on Me, but as a body of work, I prefer Death Certificate. It's Boys. No, I'm cool with putting Ice Cube at number 2, actually, if we're being objective. So I would go Snoop, Cube, Pac, Eminem, Nas. That would be my 5.
What about X?
I'd probably go. Oh yeah, the X. Okay, so no. So yeah, Nas gonna fall out the top 5. Then actually, I could go. I would go Snoop, Cube, Pac, X, M, Nas, Wayne, Jay, Kanye, Kendrick.
Left out. Oh, you said Jay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You put Kendrick at the bottom, and he was the barometer.
No. He's going where he belongs.
Well, Coop's going to be Coop.
No. We're gonna put you where you belong. We're gonna put you where you belong. We're gonna put you where you belong at HipHopTalks.
But no, that's dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for the people, when we get the list posted and ask the fans to engage and do their rankings, Coop, make sure you put yours out there.
Sure. No. I will. That'll be pretty stuff.
Yo, Sean, what you got on Ice Cube, man?
Man, he's a legend. Don Mega.
Yep.
Don Mega. Like, we could have gone different years with Ice Cube, though.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be wrong, honestly. And the sad thing about it is not many in our space or any other space talks about Ice Cube as much as we talk about Ice Cube.
Right.
and reminded people how great Ice Cube really is. You know what I mean? You get a chance for Nas fans, go watch that interview Nas had with Ice Cube when he had his show going on Misinfo.
Yeah.
Listen how he paid homage to
The
Ice
Bridge
Cube.
podcast. Yeah.
Bridge podcast. And he had a segment with Ice Cube, like 30 minutes. And hear how he talked about Ice Cube and reminded Ice Cube how radical Ice Cube was to hip hop at that time. This guy was radical. You got an album, Kill at Will, and you come back to America's Most. You took down NWA, who was considered the world's most dangerous rap group, and you didn't make them look dangerous at all. Easy work. Easy work. Went through the entire team like knife through butter.
Yeah. Ren got it the worst. Right. Damn, if Ren didn't get it the worst.
Yeah, that's crazy. Ren has been the same since.
But he had to because that was the other writer for the group.
That's the other writer. He did the thing that competitively you're supposed to do in battle. He's like, oh no, the producer and the boss gonna get some shots, but I'm gonna hurt the writer. I'm gonna hurt the writer that's left. The writer about to take. Oh no, you about to take these L's. You writing for them, about to hurt your whole confidence.
Big facts. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up that podcast, Sean, because I remember that. And Nas and Ice Cube were exchanging pleasantries or whatever. And Ice Cube said one of the dopest things I've ever heard. Because Nas was fanning out talking about how dope Cube was and his writing. And Cube told Nas, he was like, we was writing dope stuff, but you came along with Illmatic and put it in cursive.
Yes,
that's fly. That's fly right there.
Yeah.
That's fly. For sure.
So everyone in the chat, we see your chats and everything. Put in the chat who you think should be year over year, fiscal year. Keep in mind, this is fiscal year. This is not the actual year. I saw some people put some people put 50 Cent in there, and 50 Cent had a phenomenal year. But we're talking about the fiscal year. We're talking about year over year. As far as MC or a rapper having a big impact. That's what we're talking about for like 2000, all of 2000 and all of 2001. That's that fiscal year that we're talking about. Not just, them having a moment or having a MC of the year type moment. So put that in the chat. Engage with us on Twitter because we're going to post this on Twitter. We're going to post this on on our other social media platforms, on Discord, as well as YouTube. So we would love to hear from you all. Like, name your top 5 or top 10 MCs that had the fiscal year running.
Yeah, real talk, man. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of
fun.
All
across the board. We could have gone LL. We could have gone Heavy D. We could have gone Ice-T.
Shout out to Andrew. He sent me a lot of stats for Nicki. You know what I'm saying? As far as the females goes, Nicki had a hell of a year when, Pink Friday was released. So, I mean, it's a lot of people we could include it, but I think this was the creme de la creme, out of the 10 that could be included. So,
and Ep just put in RZA 94, 95. Yeah, as a producer, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That we'll save that for another show talking about production.
Maybe we could do a production.
Yep, for sure. None of y'all steal that either. This is our intellectual property right here. So don't try to do that before we do it. Real talk.
Stealing is flattery.
But real talk. Let's do the press play real quick and get up out of here, man.
I don't have one, AG. So I have mine, but I didn't get a chance to load none of them up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just run through mine real quick because I wanted to pay homage to somebody that doesn't get a lot of love and flowers, in our sphere. And, for those of you who don't know, Large Professor and DJ Premier share a birthday, March 21st. So I wanted to do my press play to honor Extra P, Large Pro, because we wax poetic about Preem all the time, but I wanted to give Large Professor some love, and my press play consists of there you go, Coop. He's back. My press play consists of tracks that Large Professor produced for Nas or either got Nas featured on it. So running through those real quick. Number one, I got Live at the Barbecue, where it all started, where we first heard Nas at 17 years old with the feature, on that record, on the classic album by Main Source, Breaking Atoms. So got Live at the Barbecue to kick off my press play. Then after that, I got You're the Man, right? That sample, man, once I heard the real record, it's by Sixto Rodriguez from 1970. The real song is called Sugar Man. The way that Large Pro chopped up that sample to make it sound like it's saying You're the Man when it really says Sugar Man was super, super dope to me. And Nas is just spazzing with the bars, you know what I'm saying? Your plan was to take me out the top of the game, but I understand your truth is all lame. Hold cannons that shoot balls of flame right in your fat mouth, then I carve my name. Nas too real, Nas true king. It's however you feel. Go ahead, you swing. Your arms too short to box with God. I don't kill soloists, only kill squads. Shit's crazy.
Bars.
Moving on.
Bars.
Moving on. Number 3, I got Rewind, right? The story behind this song is crazy because, you know, I couldn't talk all day about the concept. This is the most creative concept, I think, ever in rap. And people talk about I Gave You Power, but Rewind is technically more creative. I Gave You Power is the better song, but Rewind is a more creative concept. The way Nas did this record, right? He had on the Masterclass series, he had a portion where he was talking about creative writing, and he went into how he constructed this track. He said that day in the studio session, he had writer's block and they were getting ready to leave. So a punishment for himself, he just wanted to get out something to say, all right, I wrote a song today. So he told Large to cue up the beat that he had looped up earlier. And in 20 minutes or less, I forgot what he said. He said like 20 minutes, he had wrote and recorded Rewind. And he said he was so mad at himself for having writer's block, he tried to do a creative exercise, you know, inspired by a Memento movie and say, okay, I'm going to tell a story from back to front, but if I'm going to do it, it really got to make sense with the wordage, like go he there, outside right we, that sort of thing. But to think that he did this in 20 minutes as a punishment to himself because he had writer's block, that's goat shit. Like, I'm sorry. It's like Rewind was a punishment to himself. That's insane. All right?
I don't believe it was done in 20 minutes, but I hear you.
That's out of
that 20-minute shit at all. But okay.
That's out of the horse's mouth. So and
that's why I don't believe it. That's why
I actually did see a Large Professor interview where he did, you know, corroborate that story. That he did it mad fast. So next on my list.
Okay, so mad fast in real time when you're in the studio might be 90 minutes though.
If you count recording time and all that, but I mean, you're talking about the writing process of it. He might have wrote it in 20, but maybe
okay.
not.
You telling me he wrote it in 20 minutes? Yeah, don't tell me he wrote and recorded it in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So next up, I got I love this record. It's not talked about enough. Stay Chiseled, right? This is featured on Large Professor's album First Class in 2002, right? And this song was actually made in the Stillmatic sessions and was supposed to be for Stillmatic. So when they recorded Rewind and You're the Man, Stay Chiseled was made during those sessions. The original version was circulating in late 2001 and actually has 3 Nas verses, all of them stellar. But by the time we get on Large Pro's album in 2002, you know, he took 2 Nas verses off and it just got the 1 Nas verse, right? So, you know, Coop and Sean, you want to know what's crazy during this time? Me and my friends used to argue which was the better record between Stay Chiseled and Lyrical Exercise by Jay. That was a big argument. Similar concept and thing. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big argument. I don't know which one came first. I'm not saying either of them was biting, but you know, Blueprint came out September 2001, and the original version of Stay Chiseled was circulating on mixtapes and on the internet around that time, but came out on 2002 in the album. But that was a big argument for me and my friends, like with that similar theme, which was the better record. So, number 5, another Large Professor joint, 1+1. Featured on his album, The LP, right? And this is really kind of like a lost tapes track, if you want to be honest, because that album was originally recorded in 96, so you're getting prime Nas on this record, right? But Large Professor had like some label dispute issues, and the album got shelved. and he ended up getting the rights back to the album and ended up releasing it as a promo only in 2002. So it was out on the internet, but it wasn't for retail sale. And it finally came out for retail purchase in 2009. So, but when you hear it that late, you're listening to a 96 Nas over 96 Large Pro production. So I kind of like that, in the point that y'all had earlier about like old stuff, like nobody knows the stuff's old except for you and your camp. But, you know, if you dig for the history of stuff, you'll find out that, you know, it came out way back when. That's 5. And I had one bonus track, so I cheated a little bit. Everybody on Illmatic always wants to talk about the tip, you know, the Q-tip mix for The World Is Yours, but nobody talks enough about It Ain't Hard to Tell, the Large Professor mix. Think that remix is a 10 out of 10, and the way that the Large Professor chopped that up, he took, you know, Biz Markie from Nobody Beats the Biz saying, recognize I'm the king of discoing, and he chopped it up to make it sound like it says Nas is the king of disco, and like, that was a dope chop. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people talk about that remix enough, but that joint was really dope. You know what I'm saying? So that's my press play.
Oh shit!
Shout out to Large Professor, one of the greatest.
One of the greatest. One of the greatest. But fellas, that's our show.
Yes, sir.
Any parting words for the people?
Like, subscribe, and share, man. Let's keep growing.
Wow. How about you?
These women in the city are terrorists. This bombs over Baghdad right here. If you see me blink twice, please come and save me. Okay. Please come help.
You doing slow blinks right now. Like,
yeah.
Come and get me. All right. So bombs over Baghdad today. Yeah.
Dope show though, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Peace to the chat.
Great fiscal year list, AG. I'm gonna post my order. Great show, fellas. Appreciate y'all me down while I go from Buckhead to the suburbs. You know.
No doubt,
yo. Peace to the chat. Peace to the Discord.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate all of y'all.
I might jump back in the Discord. I ain't seen them in a couple of weeks. All right.
These guys are crazy. Peace, y'all.
Indeed.
Indeed. Yo,
you do that.
Be out. Oh, did it go out? No.